Or not live, but we're recording. Right.
This is on permanent record now, yeah.
This is all permanent.
It's all permanent. Whatever you say here cannot be unsaid.
Well, okay, I guess we'll get right into it then. Welcome everyone to the tier list. Long overdue tier list. We've been putting it off for a very long time. We set ourselves a date. We said 2 weeks after Awakening and Succession Nova come out. We're gonna make it happen, and we are. So we have 2 different lists here. I have one on my other monitor over here. In case anyone's wondering how we're recording this, it's super scuffed. Basically, I am sharing my screen through Discord, and then Frosty is recording it. We did that so that you wouldn't have a shock to your system with it being recorded from my point of view. So yeah, normal podcast audio, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I have another list over here. You can see it's got less tiers, but the same overall idea. And we are going to be doing both Awakening and Succession for all the classes that have an Awakening and Succession, obviously. So we're got the big list for PvP and the smaller list for PvE. So we're going to be doing 2 tier lists, in all honesty, 2 separate tier lists.
Yeah. That way when someone sees a class in A or S, that they're like, that class sucks in Siege, what the hell? And it's not completely up there because of PvE.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Pretty simple.
So I suppose this is the worst intro we've ever had, so let's just move on ahead. I guess we'll just go down the list, right? So let's just start with Warrior, I suppose.
All right, who are we gonna do this in a certain order? Who goes first, second, and third?
Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter. We gotta aggregate our scores, right? So
D's for delete, right?
And we haven't told Nayashi yet that we're muting him during his answers. Right?
I'm like, it's all just
okay
for show for me.
So I say we start with for each class. Are we gonna do like Warrior PvE and then scoot over to PvP?
I think we do PvP first.
PvP first. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
We do both kits PvP, and then we'll go and do both kits PvE. Does that sound fair?
Yes, and for the listening audience at home, PvP includes what?
That is 1v. I mean, that's everything PvP. That's like 1v1, small scale, large scale, siege.
Yep. So make sure
everything.
You listeners take it with a grain of salt that, you know, there are going to be some cases where class is good in 1v1, bad in large scale.
Yeah, and for the record, the PvE list is probably going to go by a lot faster because we don't want to be here for 6 hours, and we don't have as much to say on every class's PvE potential. Obviously, we have something to say about most, if not every class's PvP potential, though.
Maybe we should. Maybe the PvE tier list should just be 2 things: one that says pretty good, and then one that says could be better.
Okay, so why don't we start with Nayashi? Nayashi, Awaken Warrior PvP, go.
Awaken Warrior PvP overall. Well, their 1v1's top tier. I would say A+ to S. Their large scale, small scale. Their large scale kind of suffers because they can't really do much with the ball, which is pretty much majority of the classes. So I would say probably A to B+. Let's go ahead and say A, just because the 7-second grab is pretty much OP. So
okay,
A it is.
A overall. Frosty, what about yourself?
I mean, I think I agree. I think that Warrior isn't the best in large scale, mostly because of a couple specific classes that make it not that good, but it's A+ or S. I probably would say A as well. I think A is a good spot. It's a good class. Good class overall.
Yeah. You won't be mad.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much same as you guys. Kind of bad in large scale, really good in 1v1s.
Did we lose him?
I think we lost him.
Are you there?
Yeah, we hear you now. Okay, you're back.
Okay. My Discord keeps bugging out. I gotta get it fixed.
Okay.
It's so
I don't
good,
know.
in fact, that it even knocks Wrestler out.
I might, I don't know. To me, I don't know if I'd put it in A. I might put it in B plus. But I'll concede and say since you guys both put it in A, that's fine. We can leave it there. All right. So Succession, Nayashi, go. Succession Warrior.
Honestly, it's really hard for me to give a true opinion on Succession Warrior because it's been so long since I've seen one. I think their 1v1 potential is pretty garbage overall compared to what it used to be when it was first released. It's mostly because when they got their grab nerf, that was pretty bad for them. And then their large scale, I can't say I've seen a suck warrior in large scale. Truthfully. So, I would have to say probably C plus to B. Let's go ahead and say C plus. I think
All
it's on
right.
the lower end of the spectrum.
Frosty.
I'm gonna just give it a flat C. I think all of the things that make Warrior good, Succession doesn't have. Just putting it like that. It's got a lot of protection, slow moving, but every other block classes do that better, including Awaken Warrior. So I think it's just a C tier class. It's not good in large scale, not particularly good in 1v1s either.
Yeah. I mean, basically same opinion that you both said. I don't know. I think there's an argument to be made that because no one plays it, if someone got insanely good at it, they'd probably be pretty hard to beat. But like it's 1 in a million, so it can't really account for that. I'd probably put it in C plus, honestly. So we'll go with C plus then, since two of us say C plus, one says C. So we'll say C plus overall. So let's move quickly over to the PVE. Awaken Warrior PVE. Frosty, go.
I think Awaken Warrior is a solid A. I think it has S tier potential in some spots, but not every spot. So overall, I would say it's an A. Awaken Warrior.
Nayashi.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. It's pretty top tier, but it's not like the best. But it's an extremely comfortable grind. So yeah, I think A is appropriate. It's definitely not an S tier, but it's definitely not a B tier. So hard A.
I might be tempted to say S, but to be honest, I don't know enough about the classes PVE. All I know is what I hear. Like it can pull pretty insane numbers, is all I'm saying. But I think A is fine. It's definitely not B. Might not be S, so A is fine. Succession. Does anybody know anything about Succession Warrior PVE?
It's been a while since I've seen them grind, but what I remember before was that their grind potential was probably more like B tier.
They used to be
I
A
mean,
or S, and then they
it
got
used to
nerfed.
be A, but they nerfed it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So do we want to?
I mean, I'm saying B. I'm assuming based on that, Frosty's kind of saying B too.
Yep. You're cutting out a little bit, Resler.
It's doing its thing that it does. I gotta get a new headset. All right, so we'll leave that at B then. I literally know nothing about Succession Warriors PvE, so I can't really weigh in too much on it. I haven't even been told about it, so it's not even. I know less about that than Awakening Warrior PvE. All right, so PvP. Awaken Sork PvP. Player versus player. I guess we'll go with Frosty since you probably have the most to say about it.
Well, I think that it's 1v1 is S tier. I think it can hold its own against everybody, and its large scale is I feel like I have to say only A just because of the S tier classes, which would put it at overall as a class A plus for me.
Okay.
Yep. It has some cool large scale tools like Karshan's Nightmare for engages that can be huge. It's just, that class that shall not be named kind of makes it hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would agree with A plus, honestly. Not S just because while Sort can definitely thrive in large scale due to its ridiculous iframe potential. It's still not anywhere close to the S tier, like other large scale like classes that are S tier. Um, yeah, I don't know. A plus is fine with me. Nayashi?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely pulls a little bit more than Warrior from what I've seen. It's considered one of the, or I'm sorry, not PV. For the PvP.
I was like,
Fighting
pulls,
Zerkers, man.
For a
pulls
second
more
there,
what?
secondhand
Zerkers.
PvE one. So for large scale overall, it's definitely in a better position large scale wise than Warrior for obvious reasons. It doesn't need to worry about um, the suck wizards everywhere as much, but their 1v1's pretty top tier. So I would say probably A plus to S. Um, let's go ahead and just say let's go ahead and say S plus or A plus. A
He
plus.
said S plus.
S plus.
Yeah,
Nachi,
I'm so like
Nachi, I need you to log out. Okay, I need your full attention right now,
He's
my
being
guy.
griefed by a Zerker right now so hard.
Stop whatever you were doing. We're doing a tier list.
I literally said today on stream, I was like, dude, I'm just hoping that Nayashi's not PvPing during the list.
I'm really not though. But no, it's I'll go with A plus.
Okay.
All right, Succession Sork PvP Frosty.
Well, you know, it's a B plus at large scale, C minus 1v1, S plus. Succession Sork, I think, is just a tier below Awaken Sork. I think in large scale, it basically holds the same potential. It's just that in 1v1s, it's not an S anymore. It's like more of an A. So, probably just put it at an A, I guess.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. I think it's probably... I kind of feel like Succession Sork's maybe a little bit better than Awaken Sork in large scale, but then a little bit worse in 1v1s. So that those tiny changes kind of even out to me. I think I would agree overall though. Probably just a tier lower. Like I'm not as afraid of a Succession Sork as I am an Awaken Sork in general. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I can put those on the same level. I think I would agree with an A. Nayashi?
This one, I'm gonna go ahead and say probably more on the B plus. Honestly, I'm gonna be a little bit different with this because their 1v1 definitely doesn't feel as strong with its utility potential. It does have the damage, but I don't know. I'm gonna say B plus. I feel personally that it's a B plus type.
All right, we'll leave it in A for now then. Of course, we're going to close ranks at the end of this. If there's anything that looks weird, we'll adjust it once we get to the very end. Quick PvE round, Awaken Sork, Frosty, go.
Awaken, I think they're both A, honestly. Awaken and Sucker A. They're both just good everywhere. Their pulling is good.
Yeah.
Their kill speed is good.
I don't know much about Succession Sork PvE, but I know Awaken Sork is pretty good. If not, sometimes people claim the numbers that they pull is kind of insane, but don't believe everything you hear. Nayashi?
Do I even know that plays suck that grinds? I'm gonna have to defer to you guys on this one because I don't know any suck sorks that.
Here's
that
kind of the
grind.
thing with suck sork. So it's like most people play it. If anyone's playing it specifically for grinding, it's only because it's a little bit more chill, and that's about
that's
it.
what it.
But its damage is just as good as Awakening, and it has low cooldowns, and it's it hits really hard, so it has bigger AoEs and stuff. So it's fine.
I mean that's fair. That makes sense.
Just people
so
prefer Awakening.
I guess
so.
I'd have to go on ahead and agree with the A then.
A lot easier to defend your grind spot.
For lack of information, basically.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to Ranger. I'll open this one up, I guess. I talked to Mina about Ranger yesterday, actually, because I wanted to get his opinions on it as a former Ranger who still occasionally plays it every now and then. He says that As far as Awakening goes, in PvP, it's fairly competent at what it does. Unfortunately, what it does is pretty much just 1v1s. Large scale, it's basically useless, and in small scale, it just kind of gets like insta-gibbed. So while it's pretty strong in 1v1s, it's pretty weak at everything else. From what he told me and from what I've seen by myself personally, I'd probably put it in B or C plus. Um, Overall, I'd probably put it a step higher than Succession Warrior, probably in B. But you could convince me very easily to plop that down, TBH.
I think it's 1v1 is quite good. But it's a hard class to play, and its large scale is really just average. Even though it's like the Succession is way better, obviously, because the damage in large scale, it's like it still can just play ranged and play annoying. So that option is at least still there that a lot of the other melee classes just don't have. So I still think it's still somewhat useful in large scale, but yeah, probably I think B feels fine to me too.
Nayashi?
Yeah, I mean, with its awakening, it's going to have to be probably in the C plus to B. It's just not as good with a large scale, but it still can do good. It's 1v1 is pretty much all it has, and it's literally just flips around. It's not exciting at all.
It grabs you,
Effective,
dude. It
sure,
grabs you out of
but
chase. For sure grabs you out of chase.
oh yeah, 100% confirmed OP. It grabs out of chase. So, but yeah, I guess I think B is fair. I would probably lean a little bit closer to C plus, but I think B's fair.
All right. So moving to Succession. Succession Ranger, as we all know, in large scale, is very, very powerful. Its ability to just rain damage onto people from far away is pretty crazy. It's especially useful in castles where they just ascending current from the top shelf. It's also not terrible in small scale. They can run away pretty easily and relatively safe. I would say overall, 1v1, it's worse, obviously, but I do not, I don't believe that fucking Suck Ranger is useless in 1v1s. There seems to be a lot of people that think, oh, Suck Ranger 1v1, that's an auto win. I don't think you fought a good Suck Ranger. The good ones can usually kite you really well, and if you don't like
True.
get to them instantly without burning all of your stamina slash mana, then you're gonna get fucked on pretty hard. So I think overall I would put them just barely above Awaken Ranger. I would probably say B plus, but I could be convinced to put it in B. But I would say B plus probably overall.
I completely agree. I think it's better in 1v1s than people give it credit for. And
Yeah.
it's borderline S in large scale. You know, if not for being the second best ranged class.
Well, for lack of other options.
In large scale it would be S, but it's not. So yeah, probably B. I think B plus feels right. It's a step above Awakening. Yeah. There are some classes that are a nightmare to try to fight a Suck Ranger on. Like,
Yeah.
Strikers and Mystics definitely don't love fighting good Suck Rangers, especially if you're not starting close by.
How does a Nova deal with it?
You don't.
You throw out that range grab, dude. It's just as far as their arrows.
Man, that
Nayashi,
would
do you
be
agree
impressive.
with B plus for Suck Ranger?
I think that's fair, but I'll give my thoughts on it at least. The Succession is definitely like a major gear checker. Like if you can't take the hits, you're just gonna get shredded. It's super squish. As a kit, like it has a lot of openings and whatnot, but holy crap, does it have damage? And like what you guys said, if it kites you out, you're pretty much dead. There's no way you can really recover from that effectively.
All right. So let's quickly go to PvE. Awaken Ranger PvE. Again, this is where I defer to Mina since he's the one who told me. He said that he believes that Ranger PvE in Awakening is pretty competent. It's usually what they grind in, is what he told me. I would probably say from what he told me, and also what I've heard from other people, probably like in B tier. So that's where I would probably put it. Frosty?
Yeah, I think overall it's B grinding. If we were to count, if we more heavily weighted Ash Forest, I would count it higher because Awakening Ranger is actually very good at Ash Forest. But yeah, it's a B. It's pretty good. It's not a bad class. You don't have to feel bad grinding on it. It does take a little bit of work though.
And also a lot of pots from what I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone uses Spirit Perfume and Frenzy. You know, pots are... Yeah. Who needs pots?
Nayashi?
Who? I think I've seen Rylock grind a little bit, but not much. Based on what I've seen and heard, it's probably going to be more of like a B to A. So we'll go ahead and agree on the whole B argument.
All right. And then for Succession, I think probably slightly worse. I don't know if it's worse enough to put in C. Probably is. I'd probably say C.
See, this is where I'm kind of
Rousey?
torn too, because so Awaken Sork and Suck Sork, it's like if you're playing Suck, you're playing it because it's a little bit easier. Like Suck is definitely less efficient than Awakening, but it is so much easier that people are 100% okay with it. Like people legit grind Suck Ranger just because it's so chill. So that one's kind of hard. I don't know. I mean, if C is C like average, I guess, or would B be average?
And C. B would be, since we have 6, that would make B like barely above average and C barely
just below
average.
That's the thing. It's like somewhere in the middle,
Yeah.
somewhere in between there. It
Listen,
is like
man,
exactly.
You're the one who wanted to get rid of the pluses for the PvE list. All right,
It's
you can't do this to me now.
I know. It is exactly average.
Full regret.
Suck Ranger is not bad at grinding. It's just not great at grinding, and it's exactly average. So I don't know. Maybe pop in a C plus right there. It kind of needs it, dude. Yeah. It kind of needs it. It was a grave mistake not counting it. I don't know why I thought it'd be more simple.
Fine. We'll add an above. And now C is average.
Now C is
not
average.
F.
Hey. All right, there we go. Now C is average. Perfect.
There you go. You're welcome. Now C is average. You happy?
That's all we needed. That looks better.
Okay. All right, moving on. We got Awaken Zerker. We're back on PvP list. Awaken Zerker 1v1 is pretty strong. It gets demolished by iframe classes, unfortunately, like Sork, Tamer, Ninja, that kind of stuff.
Man, we need to get Ming on here.
Yeah, dude.
It's
Dude's a
large
beast.
scale. Its large scale is okay. Bit of a 3-minute class. They've definitely made some changes to help make it less of a 3-minute class, but I would say it still is. Small scale, it's pretty powerful. I think overall, I would put Awakening Zerker probably at an A or a B plus. I don't know. I kind of want to put it in A, but I also don't think it should go that high. But I'm gonna put it in A. Who wants to go next? Convince me to put it lower, please.
I think it's a B plus. I don't think guilds rely on Q buff as much as they did back in the day. Witch is just too prominent that its Q buff doesn't win against 20 meteors anymore. So for me, it's like
less annoying though.
I mean, it doesn't make it less. It's definitely S tier annoying, but as far as overall strength of the class, I do think it's good. I think it's actually slightly undervalued as a 1v1 class, but I think part of it is a lot of the really good Zerkers don't play Zerker anymore or they play Succession. But I think I'm so like skewed here by watching Ming PvP.
I know.
Because I mean I watch him.
You just see the potential.
The thing is that I watch him beat
Choice is
great.
good too.
I watch him beat great assassin players. Like that's the thing. That's crazy. So it's like the potential is there, but I think overall as a class, B+ to me, for me.
All right, you convinced me. I'm B+ now. I'm B+ gang. Nayashi.
Yeah. I mean, I know what that thing can do firsthand from having Ming on my ass. From a 1v1 point of view, it's a pretty up there. It's like an A+. Like it does have some problems for sure. Maybe my bias against my particular fights against that class is skewing my opinion a little bit too much. But its large scale definitely has become less effective just because Suck Wizard is just too fucking good. But I do think that it is still really effective in general. I think, yeah, I think B+ is fine. Like, I can't give it A. It's just its grinding is pretty good, but its succession grind is where it's really at. And then
That's a
it's
separate
large.
list, Nayashi. Calm down.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just trying to think overall. Yeah, B+.
All right, so Succession Zerker. Obviously, the 200% is no more. It now has a 30-minute cooldown. It still slaps, but with a 30-minute cooldown, its effectiveness in large scale has been greatly reduced. I do think it is now just straight up worse than Awaken Zerker in large scale. I also think personally it's worse in 1v1s. And I think it's worse in small scale, honestly. I think the only thing it had going for it was the 200s in large scale. I would say that was way more effective than the Q buff in large scale. I mean, you guys saw kill feeds. It was kind of insane. But since the 200 nerf, I think I would put this in B, maybe even C+, but I'd probably put it in B for overall PvP. Rossi?
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, I think for 45 man and below, it's actually still pretty decent. I actually kind of like it better for those personally, where like you're kind of skirmishing more than just like straight up ball fights. I think Suck feels a little bit better and can catch a lot of people off guard, especially with the way Predatory Leap works.
Oh my god, it's insane.
But yeah, and also its damage is fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's up there.
Its damage is scary, but yeah, I think overall it just doesn't have as much utility at all.
Yeah, it doesn't have the range per se.
By the way, with the bond skills or the core skills, I feel like Awaken Zerker is like a noob stomper because that's like one of the few classes that I think the general public has no idea what bond skill Awaken Zerkers take.
Devastation.
I don't think the Zerkers know what core skills Zerkers take.
But like everyone knows, like Ninja.
Every Zerker I talk to is taking a different core skill. Like,
Yeah.
I think Ming
I don't know.
uses devastation.
I think most of us are using ground lift. I want to say, but I don't know.
Anyway, yeah. So I
At
leave
least
it at
in
B.
large scale.
I think
Yeah.
Zerker's a B.
Nayashi, Slug Zerker.
I mean, yeah, I agree with the 30-minute 30-minute 200% now is kind of rough, but if you have enough Zerkers in a guild situation, you rotate them. I mean, it still is effective. There's essentially a 5-minute downtime as long as you have like what, or 6 Zerkers. You know, you effectively have like a 5-minute in between. So every like serious engagement, essentially, you can have a 200% to help really impact the fight. And I don't
Yeah, but the
think that's
problem is
unrealistic.
most guilds only have like 3 to 4 Zerkers, and usually 1 or 2 of
That's
those are
true.
awakening.
That's fair. That's fair. So I mean, yeah, Yeah.
So B.
It's 1v1 is definitely just like a gear checker for sure. Like it just does so much output, and it's really awkward to deal with its E buff uh, or its class buff. I'm not sure if it's E. Zerker is weird. It's one of those ones where it's like the Q buff, so I don't know if it's Q in succession, but I think B plus for me personally. I feel I
All
still
right.
think I still think it's 1v1 still good enough to where it's in like B status, and it's large scale still better potential. I feel with a 200% if you have enough Zerkers to rotate it. Like I'm thinking like in a group scenario, just not one single Zerker. So a little bit different way of thinking about it, I guess.
All right, so let's move to PVE. Awaken Zerker is fine. I would probably say slightly above average. Um, I might be tempted to put it in A if thinking about certain spots, but taking like all spots into consideration, I'd probably put it at B. I don't know. Maybe someone could convince me to put it in A, but Frosty, go.
Yeah, Awaken Zerker's a B. It's pretty good, but most grind sucks. So
Nayashi.
Likewise, it's
All
not
right.
bad, but it's not amazing either.
Succession. Now, if you ask me, this bitch goes right up in S tier because, oh my god, ever since they made both the spin super armor, I have not
So
grinded
dumb.
this much before ever in my lifetime. It is the easiest grind I have ever done, and I swear to God, if they ever change it again, I am going to quit this game. Um,
Does it actually
Obviously
pull
that's
better numbers than most of the classes,
no.
or is it just like super
no.
relaxing?
It's just super easy. I would say it's probably A tier. It's definitely not S tier. It's S tier for lazy grinding, but as far as like efficiency goes, I would probably say it's better than Awakening. I don't know if it's so much better that it belongs a tier higher, but I don't know. I think I would probably say A tier. Frosty?
Same. I think it's just an A.
Likewise.
Just does good damage, and it's
Yeah.
efficient and fairly easy to use.
Yeah.
It just doesn't get the S tag because it doesn't pull the kind of numbers that some of these S
Nope.
PVE classes
All right.
do.
Its pack to pack
Awaken
is
Tamer.
also insane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is. Awaken Tamer, Frosty, where's it go?
All right, this is PvP. For 1v1s, it's to me, I don't believe that it's a S tier 1v1. I know everyone wants to put it S tier 1v1, but I think it's just below that. I think it's an A plus in 1v1. And in large scale, it's like borderline unusable at this point. The Tamer ult got nerfed. The damage output is just so insane from so many other classes. Its AoEs have never been increased in size. It just kind of struggles right now. And it's sad too because I think it has really good bond skills. And maybe the bond skills kind of have it teeter between A plus and S for 1v1s, but for large scale, it's just not enough. So, overall, I don't know. The class is probably like I don't even know. It depends how heavily we weigh 1v1s, but for me, it's like a C plus or a B. So I think depending on what you guys say.
All right.
But
Nashi, why don't you go?
I mean, its 1v1 potential is really strong in my opinion. I get what you're saying, Frosty. But I don't know. I mean, I agree that its large scale is pretty much non-existent, like half the other classes in existence right now. But uh, I think the 1v1 just helps bring it up a lot, so I'll say B.
Yeah, 1v1 really strong. I don't think S either. I'm reserving the S rating 1v1 for the other Tamer kit. So A plus 1v1 small scale, it's pretty strong, probably like A or B plus, and then large scale, it is dog shit. It still has its place as like a flex class, but even as a flex class, it's kind of like not the best. So yeah, I don't know. Probably I'm also thinking like around C plus or B. I would probably say C plus, honestly, if not C, because that large scale is just, I don't know. You can't do much other than try to 1v1 people like on top of flags and cannons and shit. You're just so like you just can't do anything. So
Dude, you don't even see
um
the occasional tamers like just with insane kills anymore, like you used to. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like
You'd see the 100 feeds at least. The 100
yeah,
use.
they're just not up there
mm.
anymore at all, man.
Yeah,
It's sad.
it's
All
sad.
right, Succession Tamer, Frosty.
What's that?
What's that? It's the kit that everyone plays in 1v1 or should be, because that shit's fucking insane.
Yeah, here's the thing. As much as I think this is the worst Succession kit in the whole game and needs to be completely redesigned, I actually think it's overall better than Awakening because in 1v1 it is a nightmare to deal with. It is super, super difficult. So it's also A plus or S, probably S in 1v1. And also it's quite good at holding positions in node wars. Like if you're trying to defend a flag and you have a tamer on it, a suck tamer that's constantly popping traps, it is so, you need like overwhelming numbers to go take it. Like let's just say, for example, there's a tamer and a couple other people. Like you can't just show up with exactly even numbers because the trap is going to get one or two of you eventually. So like it's really good at holding positions and chokes and stuff. But so overall I would put it just a hair above Awakening, so probably a B if Awakening is C plus. But to be honest, I almost kind of I don't know. Like I know Nashi, like it, I kind of think that Warrior probably needs to go down because of
Really?
this. I mean, Succession Warrior, yeah, because as bad as Tamers in large scale, Warrior is not any better in large scale, and it's definitely worse in 1v1.
I think that's fair.
You know?
I think that's fair.
So yeah,
if we decide to move
Suck
that down,
Tamer
I'm
at a
okay with
B, I think is okay.
I would say that's probably fair. Do we want to executive decision move this down?
Man, the poor Warriors are gonna be so upset.
No, they're
Well, actually,
not. They're
none of one plays it anyway.
All two of the Succession Warriors out there, dude. They're gonna be really upset.
I mean,
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, Succession Tamer allows them to spam roaring and it stiffens on cooldown. So that means they get to just cast it over and over and over and over and over again, and it always stiffens if you walk into it and do something that is unprotected. This makes them, like Frosty said, fucking nightmares in 1v1s. And it also just slightly increases their usability in large scale because they're doing the exact same thing as Awaken Tamer, but are now arguably slightly better. So yeah, I would agree with placing them just one tier higher than Awaken Tamer. Nayashi?
yeah, I mean, it's all valid points. I just don't see any. Wait, K-Rog from Cho Nation, I think, is the only one that actually plays the kit, right? And isn't he Awakening now?
I mostly see him on Awakening. Yeah, there's not a lot.
I mean, I gotta get you to fight. I gotta get you to fight Kevin in our guild. Actually, he's a really good Suck Tamer.
Yeah, I don't think
there's a bunch. If you want to see a Suck Tamer, you go to the Battle Arena 1 King of the Hill.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Calpheon too.
No, you go to BA1 King of the Hill. It's nothing but freaking Suck.
Dude, that's where all the Succession Warriors are.
Yeah, I mean the main like tamers that I run into all the time in BA would be like Lux. He's always in fucking BA on his Awakening trial character, never getting gear ever, forever trial.
I'm trying to find this graph. You remember that graph that showed the Awaken and the Suck in the ball or whatever? I don't remember what the Warrior one was, but I just can't imagine anyone is playing Suck Warrior. I don't know how
I think Awaken was quite a bit higher.
Was it? Okay.
Frosty, give us PvE Tamer Awakening.
I probably have that chart if you want me to find it.
Tamer Awakening is a C. It's a just straight up like average. It's not good at pulling. It's not super fast at killing. It's just average. It feels annoying. So if you go based on feel, it feels like a D or a not F, but
It's a not.
but it definitely it can pull like average ish numbers. It just takes a lot of work.
Yeah, I really don't know that much about it. So I would probably just defer to you on this one. I only know one Awakened Tamer that I've watched grind, and it seems like he usually does pretty average for his gear. So I think putting him in C is fine. Nayashi?
Yeah, I think it's mediocre. I mean, they used to be like extremely fucking good because of all their pulling and everything that they could do, but that's Hash just does that better. Frosty, I'm sure you can agree now.
Dude, they need to make
And,
they need to just buff the AoE sizes. I don't know what the holdup is on that. It's so annoying.
Succession, Frosty.
Succession is slightly better, but only slightly. So I don't know. So you're C.
See? You see? It's C.
It's about a C.
C or C, C. Yeah, probably not better enough to warrant going up a tier. Nashi, any complaints with that?
Nah, I think that's fair.
All right, moving on. Awaken Valkyrie. Who wants to take us first on this one?
I'll go. I think Awaken Valkyrie is a lot better than people give it credit for. In both 1v1 and it's pretty alright in large scale. I think it is one of the more difficult classes to play, which is why you don't see very many. You have Zachary, Byron, and then Raiden, and that's about it. I mean, there's a couple more, but like that's about it. So I think that God, this one's so hard. How do we factor in resists?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I think that this Awaken Valkyrie is probably a B or a B plus. I'd have to hear kind of your guys' thoughts on it, but I would put it at a B or a B plus. It's kind of tough. I think in 1v1 it's about a B plus, and in large scale it's probably a B plus. There's a lot of classes better.
Would
so
you
I guess
like to put it in B plus?
It's a B plus, but if you guys say B, I wouldn't like fight you on it.
Yeah. I think maybe overvaluing slightly the large scale. I mean, basically all they can really do, unless you're Zachary Byron.
All they can really do is what? Sorry, you cut out a little bit.
Ult.
See, I don't agree with
Vacuum.
that anymore because of the bond skills giving them and their butt stab getting super armor plus their bond skill. Like I think that they have pretty decent protected damage now.
I still feel like they just die. Like every other melee class that's not Guardian. They just run in, they fucking die when they try to SA. I don't know. Like again, unless you're like a super good Valk like Zachary Byron or something, you're basically just an ult bot. So I don't know. I also don't think the Awaken 1v1 is as good as the Succession, honestly. I don't think the Awaken kit in general is as good as Succession. I would probably say B.
All right, here's the thing though. Think about this. So it does have protected damage. And while it is kind of hard to play, it also did receive the shield chase super armor buff that they can use in pre-awakening, and it does still have 2 heals and a PA and a vacuum on a relatively low cooldown that they can use at range. So it's not just the ult. It also has that vacuum, which is pretty powerful.
Yeah, it has a lot of impact on a large scale scenario.
And yet still no one plays it.
Well, I think it's hard. It's harder to play. It's like
you got shield throw in on Succession.
Yeah,
even former Awaken Valks no longer play it.
I'm not saying
come on.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not saying it's better than Suck Valk. I'm just saying it's I think it's pretty decent.
Here's my issue. Here's why I wouldn't want to put it in B plus. Here's why I wouldn't want to put it in B plus personally, because I don't think Awaken Valk is as good as Awaken Zerker overall in PvP, and B, I think Succession Valk is one tier higher than Awaken Valk overall in PvP, and I don't think Succession Valk is as good as Awaken Warrior or Succession Sork overall in PvP.
I
So
could
neither
not.
of those things
I
line up for
disagree
me.
very much. Suck Valk, I'm about to have a field day with, dude.
Okay. Nayashi, you're the tiebreaker here. Is this going in B plus B, or are you coming out of left field with something else?
I think it offers enough utility to be in B plus, just because I mean I get what you're saying where you don't feel personally that it does as much as Awaken Zerk, but I think there's something to be said with its large scale CC potential, and you know its 100% damage is actually pretty good too. So
And the 100% doesn't have the cooldown, so you can get fed.
true. It is the only 100, so it's not 200. So it's a lot better than the Suck Zerker
It's pretty
requirements.
much the last like heavy hitting 100 in the game.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about Meo
Um,
Awakening 100%.
that might be true. I'm trying to think. Like where you just
Because
die straight up.
they nerfed Zerkers, they nerfed Tamers. What else was there that was like one hitting people?
They nerfed Sukunos a while back. They nerfed yeah, there's quite a few that aren't as insane anymore. And then some that never really were that good.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's the last like insta giving 100% in the game, honestly. Okay, well it's going to B plus since you both say B plus. I say B. Frosty, begin your field day. I think you said with Succession Valkyrie.
If Wizard and Witch were not in the game, I think large scale Valkyrie would immediately take over as S. Because Valkyrie has so much protected damage, so much protected AoE, CC, so much utility, pretty good movement, really, really safe movement, a resist passive that makes them even more difficult to CC even when they make a mistake. Plus, they're like one of the tankiest classes with a DR build. Their damage is nuts. Their accuracy modifiers are actually like the modifiers themselves aren't that crazy, but they have their accuracy passive, which is nuts. They have a ton of utility, and they also like the Awaken one have 2 heals and a PA. And because just like the Awakening, their Shift Q buff that gives them accuracy, also gives it to allies nearby. Like their 10 closest people get that accuracy buff. So I think that class is very good. I think it's super good in 1v1. I think it has matchups that aren't good, but I think it has matchups that it just completely dominates. And then in large scale, it's actually quite useful to have Valkyries around.
So where would you put it overall?
I think that class right now is. I think it's better than Warrior and Sork, so I would put it an A+ with Sork.
God damn. Okay.
Jesus.
Nayashi?
Oof, man. Well, I guess I mean the 1v1s are really strong, shield through and whatnot. That thing finds gaps that don't exist.
Yeah, that's
It's
the
kind
other
of
thing too. It's
insane.
one of the not few. There's quite a few that have this, but it's one of the class that has a constant ticking CC proc.
Yeah, it's
When they like
just
did away with
disgusting.
that for the most part on a lot of skills.
And like its damage overall, chip damage is pretty huge, which means it's also like really viable for large scale and 1v1s. So it can compete with this meta, which that's why it's part of the like small group of meta classes. Um, but yeah, I mean, A plus is not something I would disagree with personally. I think that's fair. Like it's just too strong.
It's a good ass
just
class, Rezlar. It's a good ass class.
There's a reason why people that play like non-meta classes end up rolling either a suck wizard or a suck valk. I mean that alone lets you know there's
So I don't
something
disagree
serious
that it's
going
a
on
good
here.
ass class, but I feel like you're really overvaluing their large scale because you started off saying if Witch and Wizard didn't exist. Problem is they do, which means
Which is why
Suck
they're not
Valk,
S.
which means Suck Valk, just like every other melee ball class, is just instant dying in large scale. I think you are highly overvaluing this class's large scale because of the utility they give, which, yes, is very useful, but Witch and Wizard have that too. And they do it better while also poking out more damage from safer places. So their large scale isn't so insane that I think I would put it this high overall. Their 1v1s are really strong. Fucking shield throw is stupid OP, but I really feel like you guys are kind of overselling yourselves on this class's large scale potential. At the end of the day, it is still just a fucking melee ball class that is just getting destroyed by witches and wizards.
but
So
it's
I would put this
not.
in A or B plus,
This
but
class is not getting destroyed by Wizwitch. It's like one of the few classes
Yeah,
that's
it's
not.
not. It actually has a real shot versus them.
Here's the other thing too. One of its highest damage abilities and like some of its protected CCs are, I know this sounds so weird that this would be beneficial, but because super armor damage, you die so fast in it. Like they have frontal guard. So in between their movement and disengages and stuff, when they use frontal guard, like it's completely safe. Like they're not dying in shield throw because they're completely negating the damage and negating the slow debuffs from the lightning. So yes, it's not as good as the classes you're mentioning, which is why, like Nayashi said, I put an A plus. But I think that it's the next best thing after those classes.
I don't know. I still just think I disagree. I mean, I would at highest put this in A, but if you both say A plus, then I guess we're going A plus.
All right, so what? Well, let's compare it to Sork, since Sork is an A plus. What do you? How is it better than Sork in large scale?
Sork does its job way better. Sork is way better at being a flex class, disrupting rebuilds, going and killing flags, dealing with 1vx's. It is way better at its job in large scale than a Valkyrie is. Way better. Insanely better.
I disagree. I think if you ask the Sork
Wait,
what
which
it's like
class?
to fight Witch in large scale compared to a Valk, the Sork doesn't have protected CCs. So they're like, they literally just get CC'd.
They live and breathe.
Like, yes,
by
they can
iframe.
avoid damage forever and run away and throw a Dream of Doom, but like,
They ain't gonna do much else.
exactly. That's the thing. Now, against all the other classes, sure. But against like Witch, it's like, dude, I don't know. Valk at least can sit there and throw a shield throw into a voltaic pulse and come out even. Or actually ahead, because they actually did some damage.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree on this one. But at the end of the day, if you both say A plus, then we'll put it in A plus. All right, lightning round, PVE. Awaken Valk, Frosty, go.
It's an A. Some people are gonna be mad at me because it should probably be an S, but I think its pulling is not as good as some of the S classes, and its damage isn't quite as good as one of the S classes. So, Awaken. Sorry, I'm a moron. Awaken is probably like Awaken is like a B. Sorry, Awaken's like a B.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, that's more along
sorry,
the lines of what I was
Awaken
thinking.
is like, I got so caught up on Suck.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with the B rating. It seems like it does fine. Probably slightly above average, so I'm fine with the B. Nashi, fine with the B?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
It got ninja buffs here and there. People kind of miss it, and it's not huge news. No one really follows Awaken Valk, but in the last few months, it got a few ninja buffs in PvE.
So Succession Valk, correct me if I'm wrong, but Succession Valk is not only better than Awaken Valk at PvE, but it's also easier because you just spam shield throw.
Well, that's the thing is you can just spam shield throw if you want to get like average player trash, like average class trash, and it's just 0 effort. But if you want to min max and actually try hard, you like can get some of the best trash in the game, and it's actually like really good. That's the thing. You kind of have the two options, right? If you want to be lazy, you can shield throw and still get pretty good trash. If you want to go try hard, you actually do a rotation and you do really well. And that it's also super good at the high end spots. Like the high end spots, like a loon, and it's pretty good at Ash. Yeah. So A.
I'm okay with A. Nashi, disagreements?
Nah, I think that's fair.
All right, moving back to PvP. We got Musa. Frosty, I gotta have you lead us on this one.
All right.
Awaken Musa.
So it's been a long time coming.
Frosty leading this charge.
But Musa is obviously an S in PvP. No, I'm just kidding.
I 100% agree.
Oh my god. Let the comments flow.
I do think that Musa struggles. It's just not for the same reason that Musas think that they struggle. I think that Musas, again, are one of these flex classes that just aren't quite as good as some of the other flex classes like Awaken Ninja. It also can kind of double as a ball class since it's a lot of super armor damage. So if you're like running around with a ball, it's not like the worst thing ever. But this class for large scale is probably a B or a C plus at best. And then in a 1v1 also probably a C plus or a B. I mean, it has a lot of tools. It's just that I don't know. Even its own counterpart I think is better in 1v1. So it's just I know it's in a weird place right now. And it's not because of accuracy. It's for very different reasons than accuracy. So yeah, I would say B is pretty all right. It's about a B. You're welcome.
Nayashi,
you're welcome, Musas everywhere.
Do you want to try and rectify this situation?
No. It's from a PvP point of view, I think Awaken Musa is. They have some issues with some of their core skills for sure.
It was really hard for Nayashi to say, everybody. Let's give Nayashi a round of applause.
they have some issues for sure when it comes to stuff, but like accuracy, for example. But I think there is something to be said about what you have to build, but there is a limit. I mean, the kits do have a limitation. They are going to suffer in comparison to, say, a succession version of the class or, other types of classes. I think that's a fair argument. And it's B really the answer though?
It's up to you, man.
You tell me, Nayashi.
Yeah, you guys can sway it one way or the other.
Yeah,
totally up to you guys.
I guess we're gonna have to stick with B. I think that's fine. Like I can't really go lower. Like it's really weird when you're trying to compare like non-meta classes because it's just like everything just feels terrible in comparison. So it's like
bad.
No matter what I choose, someone's gonna critique you and be like, "Oh my god, no, we can't do anything in large scale." But it's like no one can do anything in large scale. So it's 1v1 isn't awful. The skilled players can make do with some types of play styles and mechanics, but I guess more like C plus B. I'll say C plus, but I won't fight the B.
Oh boy, so now it's down to me, huh?
Down to you, dude.
I don't know. So I think I agree that Musa's in a fucking weird place right now. I feel like it's 1v1. Here's I'm gonna put it in B, and here's why I'm gonna put it in B. I feel like everything Musa does, like 1v1, small scale, large scale, it's fine. And it's just fine. And I feel like that's what B is, because B is here right smack dab in the middle. B is fine. So I think that that's a fair place to put the class where every time I think, what is Musa in 1v1s? It's fine. What is Musa in small scale? It's fine. What's Musa in large scale? And in terms of what it does and what its job is, it's fine. So I would say B is probably fair. So we'll roll with B. Now, Succession, Frosty, go.
Well, I do think Awaken Musa is A+ at popping stun traps. Succession is literally Awaken, but just more damage, and Fire Angel is protected. So I would put that slightly above it.
Like
Slightly
B+?
above it, but I just don't think it's as good as those B+ classes is the problem, which is why maybe Awaken needs to be C+. I don't know.
Are you swapping Awaken to C+?
I think I have to because I can't.
Are you going to give that to all the mooses out there?
I'm going to give that to all the mooses.
Man.
I can't in good. You know what? One of the things, like, I'm trying not to talk about classes we haven't got to yet, but like one of the things that Awaken Musa is good at is damage trading, right? But like classes like Hashashin suck are better at that, at the exact same thing. So it's like, I don't know. So yeah, I think B is good for suck, and C+ probably feels right for Musa. That's sad, dude.
Yeah, I think in the context,
if all the Awaken Mooses just do what Biohack said, and just focus on them pen accuracy offhands and get 550 plus accuracy, I think you'll be fine.
I think in the context of like, because I think I would agree that Succession is literally just better awakening Musa. But I don't know if it's so much better that it belongs with those classes we have in B+. Maybe it does because it is pretty strong in 1v1s, honestly, from what I've experienced. But yeah, I don't know. I would probably say B tier is fine. I don't know if it belongs with those classes in that tier above it, honestly. Nayashi?
I'm not gonna argue with it. B's fine.
She's just giving up. He's like, listen, we need to move along here.
No, I just there's really not too much to comment on it. I agree with the A, or the B+ classes. I don't see Suck Musa being better than those. But yeah, I mean it doesn't offer as much in large scale that those classes would do, and its 1v1 is very similar, if not in some cases worse, some cases better. So
Yeah.
for example,
Alright.
yeah, not good.
Lightning round. PvE. Frosty, go. Awaken Musa.
Like you automatically plopped it on C.
I think it's a C.
I'm just putting him in. I'm just putting him in the middle.
No, I
until
think it's.
I think it's right. I think you landed.
Yeah,
right.
I think it's a C. It's average. It pulls about average trash, and it has average pulling and average trash. It's just average.
Yeah, I might be tempted to put it higher, but I have no qualms putting it at C. In all honesty,
At low end spots, it's great, but I just feel like the game's evolved so much. You get out of the low end spots so quickly now.
Yeah,
I think both the kits are relatively similar.
Yep.
So both
And
Awaken and Suck.
Succession. Where are we putting Succession? PvE.
C. They're the same. Awaken got buffed up to suck level.
Yeah, I would agree that they feel C-ish.
Yeah, I don't really know much about Succession Musa PvE, so I'll just default to you guys on that one. So we'll just leave it in C, I suppose. All right. Meiwa Awakening. Nayashi, you're the expert. Hit us with the facts.
Oof. All right, so 1v1 potential is pretty high. It does have some issues with lacking iframes to deal with grab classes, so there is a limitation there. But its large scale has improved since all the patches have given a lot more protection, so it has a lot more damage trading potential, as far as like actual just skills to use, not necessarily its damage. They have upped its damage though as well in some of the patches. I have been seeing a lot more videos where Awaken Meiwas are getting some positive, feedback with their ability to do GVGs and whatnot. They're able to contribute more supportive damage and whatnot. So, um, I think Awakening is probably in B status. Like, it's not amazing. Um, its 1v1s are probably more like B plus. Its large scale is probably like a hard B, and that's just where it is.
All right. Now, Frosty, you're the real expert, so you hit us with the real
Oh
facts.
god.
I I think that it's a solid B all around. I think that it's an okay flex class in some of the smaller wars. In Siege, it's fairly useless. And then in 1v1s, I think it's quite good. I think it's better than B or B plus in 1v1s, but not enough to pull it out of the B rank overall. So I think it's a B.
Yeah, I think I would agree with B overall for it. Honestly, I'm pretty much with Frosty. I think it's pretty good in 1v1s, but in large scale, obviously, is kind of where it suffers. Also, it's small scale. I feel like isn't super good, because they're really easy to just keep track of and then deal with whenever they go in to do something. So yeah, I think B is probably fine. Succession, Nayashi. Tell us with your Ofen and your Nover and your Kafirs, where does Succession Meiwa belong?
Um, Succession Mewa. Well, its damage output's really high. Its 1v1 potential is not too far off from Awakening. Like Awakening just has better CC catches. Um with like oppression, roll rage. It has a few more frontal guards it can use, so it definitely has a little bit stronger 1v1 potential with Awakening than Succession. Large scale, we have the ability to go into Red Blade state, but there again, that's mostly super armor, so we lack a little bit on the frontal guards. Um, but the biggest difference between them, with all that being said, is just the damage output. You're able to actually contribute more supportive damage and or solo kill players at higher gear scores more regularly and consistently. It takes you less skills to perform the acts, therefore, you kind of create survivability with that. Um, I'm gonna say probably B plus.
All right, Frosty.
Uh, um, this one's weird for me because I think that its damage is higher. I don't know that it makes it any better in like large scale or anything though. So for me, I still feel like Suck May was a B. Its damage is nuts, but it's not like they're really not killing you standing up unless you just have absolutely no gear. So they still need to catch you, and I still think the difficulty in catching you is more difficult than Awaken. So I feel like its 1v1 is slightly worse, but its large scale is slightly better, so it's probably about the same. So for me, it's still a B. It does have too many iframes though.
Oh my god.
I feel
There
like
it is.
I
There it
honestly
fucking
I
is.
feel like Succession. This is kind of similar to Musa, where personally I feel like Succession is just kind of better Awakening. Um, I don't know. I feel like they kill faster. I think I agree with like the difficulty is in catching people. I don't know if Succession Maywall has a harder, easier time catching people, but they definitely are able to pump out way more damage, which is better in 1v1 and also in small scale and also in large scale because you're trying to kill people as quickly as possible so you can get back to holding right clicks so you can be protected. Um, so I would say it's just better than Awakening Maywall personally, and I would probably put it in B plus honestly. So we're gonna roll with B plus unless Nayashi wants to change.
I think that's fair.
All right, lightning round. PVE. Frosty, tell us why Awakening Maywa goes in S tier for PVE.
God, I honestly don't think it is S. I think it's.
That was a joke. You don't have to take it seriously.
No, I know. I don't even know if it's an A. It's probably between B and A. It is like a lot better in PvE than it used to be, and it's a fairly easy grind. But it's not pulling what the A classes are pulling, so I think it's a B.
Nashi, do you disagree with that?
In Sakurai, it's pretty strong. In Starzan, it does okay. Um, I don't really consider any other spot relevant other than those. I mean, the Golems, the Awakening does okay. Toro's Awakening is pretty much awful because you're just so exposed all the time. So I guess I would have to say B's probably fine. I can't give it A. It's not. I can't justify giving it an A. Just because it's good at Sakurai doesn't make it good enough to be an A grinder.
I know nothing about Maywa PVE, so my opinion is irrelevant. Succession, where are we putting it? Nashi, you're the expert on this one since you're playing it right now.
Yeah. So the grinding's consistent across the board here. It's slightly less than Awakening in places like Sakurai, but overall, the kid is strong like in every other spot, and it's not like it's bad at Sakurai. It's just quote unquote not as good.
What's
as
the most
Awakening.
you've pulled in Sakurai?
Shit, it's been so long since I've been there.
What about Starzan? What's the most you pulled at Starzan?
I think 5.1. I haven't. It's been a while since I tested, so my gear is a lot different than when I last tested.
Yeah. Okay.
So I honestly I can't realistically tell you what it is.
It's a B. It's a B.
To be.
It's basically the same. I mean, I feel like the difference is the same, right? It's like slightly better at Starzan, but slightly worse at Sakurai. It's about a B. It's not pulling what the A classes are pulling.
Ninja Awakening. Frosty, do you want to take the lead on this one since you've kind of messed around with it a bit?
Yeah, Ninja Awakening I would put up there with the Sork Awakening. I think that like all these classes, it has the caveat of it has to deal with Witch. And that it's really not a good feeling, but they do have concealment, and they do, them and one other class does a very good job of trying to avoid those classes altogether if you can. I do think that the bond skills helped large scale a little bit for stuff like group PvP. You can CC an entire group with either Frontal Guard Serpent or Katana Float, so it's kind of nice. I think that, in my opinion, I have to say that I think that Awaken Ninja is the best 1v1 class in the game ever since bond skills came out. Yep. And so it's an S tier in 1v1, but it's only about an A or a B plus in large scale, just because all it is a role class, that it's not super impactful. So, but overall, I think the class is an A plus, just because it's just solid. You can make decisions, and you're not stuck anywhere. You can get in and out of situations quickly. Good harasser. Good harasser.
Yeah, I mean, it does have a lot of squirmy type skills where it can weave in and out of combat if it needs to. So yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I guess it is one of the best 1v1ers out there for sure. It's just I definitely wouldn't give it S tier because large scale obviously is not near as good.
So are you A plus?
Yeah, I guess we're gonna go with A plus.
Right.
It's the only thing that makes sense. it's I can't say that it really does anything else other than like the 1v1 small scale is really strong, but the large scale just falls off really hard, so it can't get an S.
Yeah. So pretty much what you guys said. 1v1 is really strong. I don't think it's the strongest 1v1 class in the game, but it is definitely up there. And then I think this, along with another class that we're going to talk about here soon, is probably the best flex classes in the game because of exactly what Frosty said, the ability to avoid a certain cancer roaming the large scale battlefield. Um, I think that is incredibly valuable. I actually would probably place their large skill a little bit higher than Frosty did. But the endpoint is still the same. I would probably say A plus overall. So that's fine. Succession Ninja, Frosty.
I think in large scale it's a little bit better than Awaken Ninja just because of its damage. You don't need as much gear to do similar amounts of damage. But I think its 1v1 is a little bit worse, so I still put it in A plus.
Nayashi.
Yeah, I mean, it just I don't know. That class is so good in 1v1 and it's pretty good in large scale as well. Like I feel I don't know. Yeah. That's the problem. This is again, this is what we've already said. The problem is when you're comparing it to like Suck Wizard and whatnot as S tier, like
It ruins everything. It's
it
ruining tier
ruins
lists, it's ruining the
everything.
game, it's ruining everything.
Yeah, it ruins all the scalings we have. Uh,
I mean, if we really wanted
I
to,
guess
hold
I
on.
guess
I could fix this problem.
Oh,
what an
no.
S plus.
I can fix this
No,
problem.
No, leave it.
No,
leave
don't
it.
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Succession Wizard. Yeah. If it is Succession Wizard, if it
Yeah,
is
right.
Succession Wizard, then it goes in Succession Wizard. Yeah, I mean, A plus is gonna have to be fine. Like it's strong in that category for slightly different reasons, but I honestly feel that Awakening's not as strong as Succession. Like I almost feel like Awakening's an A in comparison to Succession. But yeah, I
That's
think it's fine.
interesting because I'm the opposite. I actually think I would put Succession in A. Because I feel like its damage and its AoE in Succession is a lot higher, sure. So it allows them to get a lot more damage down onto the field. But I feel like that's not really what they excel at in large scale. And 1v1 Awakening is just better. And in large scale, as far as like their job is concerned, I feel like maybe Awaken is even slightly better in terms of like the fights that you're taking in large scale as a ninja. I don't know. That's just the way that I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
I just don't think I see ninjas diving into a ball of people and then using their big SA AoEs
Yeah,
and
but
like getting a bunch of
I
kills and not
I also
dying.
don't see Awaken Ninjas like going up and doing the kind of shenanigans that they used to either in large scale, like taking on like 1v5, 1vx on the regular. And I just don't see it
No,
anymore.
because their frontals just get destroyed with the state of gear these days, right?
Yeah. So that's why it's like I don't know. I guess across the board. Yeah.
But
Either way.
I would put Succession in A personally. But
The great
I
part is
I
there's no wrong answer here.
I don't really have any qualms with putting it in A plus.
Is
So
there no
Everything
I
is
would
wrong
put
below
it in
answer?
A
Tuck Wizard,
plus.
therefore we're always right.
Yeah,
I
right.
think that E buff, Z buff, Suck Ninja is actually scary and can make an impact
True.
in at especially GVGs, but 30-man, 45-man nodes. It's just less so in like Siege. I mean, in Siege, basically outside of Suck Valk's utility, that whole row is useless. So
Yeah.
that's gotta remember that, sadly.
All right, lightning round. PVE. Awaken Ninja. Frosty, go.
I think Awaken Ninja is a C, and yeah, I think Awaken Ninja is a C. It's fuck. Yeah, no, it's a C. It's a C. It's definitely a C. And yeah, it's a C. I kind of want to just do during the lightning round. We should just go to both. The Awaken Ninja is a C and Suck is a B. For me.
Yeah, I have to defer to you guys on the ninja grind, but I know Succession's definitely up there. I don't think it's pulling the kind of trash that it used to though when it was first introduced. So I think C and B are fine.
All I ever hear ninjas talk about Awaken grinding is how much they complain about their fucking, like, how much they have to do shit to grind. I would almost put each one of these one tier lower, but if both of y'all think this is fine, then I guess this is fine for me too.
No, with the Awaken Ninja buffs, they're actually quite good, and they changed a few flows to make it feel less awful. And at a place like Star's End, you actually don't really need to use pre-awakening very much at all once you're like 281 or 285 Kudum. At Secrea, you obviously still have to because the mobs are so tanky, and when you don't have to switch to pre-awakening, it actually makes the grind so much more chill.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But they definitely both
All right.
require a lot of they're high APM grinders for sure.
Awaken Kuno, Frosty, you're the expert.
Awaken Kuno in 1v1 I think is an A. And in large scale I think is Awaken Kuno, I know this is gonna be my bias right here, but I legitimately think that Awaken Kuno right now is one of the worst classes in the entire game. So I would probably put it overall at like a C plus. I think more people play it than Suck Warrior, but I think that that's mostly because it still looks cooler and is more fun than Suck Warrior, which is the lamest spec in the whole game. That's about it. But yeah, it's bad at large scale, incredibly bad at large scale. It moves slower than every other flex class in large scale, and it has its damage is just absolutely abysmal.
Yeah, it's kind of just worse Suck Kuno, like in basically every way.
Yeah.
I would also probably say like C plus. I would almost be tempted to put it in C, but if you say C plus, I will defer to the man who plays the class, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it can hold its own against half the classes in 1v1.
Nayashi, do you have anything to add?
Nayashi, you're like silent. Your mic is giving up on you.
Wait. So sounding silent?
No,
Yeah,
now you're back.
we can hear you now.
Now you're back.
Really? Oh, that's weird. All right, what was I saying? So my thoughts on Kuno. The Awakening is definitely lackluster, and a lot of its, damage. Like Succession has a lot of nifty things that help it in 1v1, for example, like its burst and whatnot, and it actually has some pretty good SA trade potential. The Awaken kit.
It's
It
Rammus,
has some
dude.
cool
Just
stuff.
admit it. It's Rammus.
It's
It's outdated, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I think C plus is fine. I don't see them in large scale at all because for obvious reasons, Succession's just better, and its 1v1 potential is pretty good, but it's not amazing. I would say its 1v1 potential is like a B, maybe B plus at most. Because ultimately, they still got to grab, but yeah,
I hope you
I
say
think
the
C,
same
C
thing.
plus is fine.
I hope you say the same thing about Awaken Wizard. Go ahead, wrestler.
All right, Succession Kuno, Frosty.
Wait, what was your? Oh, did you say C plus?
Yeah, I
Did
said
you
C
go
plus
after
is
Nashi?
fine.
Okay.
I'd almost be tempted to say C,
Oh, right,
but
right,
C
okay.
plus is fine.
Suck Kuno, I'm gonna put up there at A plus. I think it's an S tier 1v1 class. And I think it's oh yeah. I still see the chakram. I was like, why are you putting Awaken Kuno up there?
Yeah,
then,
I don't have different pictures. I just have letters.
I think its large scale is worse than all of the classes in that row. So part of me wants to say A because of that, but its 1v1 is about as good. So it's like I'm kind of torn.
Well, I'll go ahead and do it for you because I put it in A. I don't think it's as good as these other classes. I think it's very strong. But yeah, I don't know. Just its 1v1s are just not as good as Ninja Awakening, or Sork Awakening. I don't know. Yeah, I'd put this in A overall. A large scale 1v1. Its 1v1s are really strong, but its large scale is where it kind of falls out of line with these other classes for me.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate. I think it's an S in 1v1. It's just not as good in large scale. Just to be very clear on that. That's all.
Nayashi?
Yeah, it's definitely an A. I don't think it's A plus like Ninja. Ninja's just like super oppressive. Yeah, I think A is fine. It's 1v1 potential is really strong with what its engagement potential is, and it's large scale. It's kind of meh. I mean, it kind of is in the same place as all the other flex classes, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
there's really not much else to add to it.
Lightning round, PvE, Frosty, Awakening. Where's it go?
Awakening is a D.
I can't wait to hear this one.
Awakening is a D, and Succession is. I actually think Succession's probably a B. C. It's not as good as Suck Ninja.
You're gonna suggest that it's as good as Meiwa?
Well, it's as good as Awaken Ninja grinding. The Succession is for sure. But it's like average, you know. It's average. Awakening is just sub-average. Awakening, though, I do want to say at very low end spots, it's quite good. Just it's pack to pack and low cooldowns. And at Star's End, if you get to about 297 Kudum, it starts feeling pretty good at Star's End. I'm not actually memeing, even though that sounds like a meme. Like at Star's End, when you can kill with only 4 abilities, it feels a lot better.
Yeah, it does it. So wait, now that you've experienced hash, you know, how does that really make you feel? With
here's the thing though, because I don't think that Awakening Kuno is much better than Awaken Tamer, and that's the thing that bothers me here. Is like I almost feel like Awaken Tamer needs to be brought a little bit below the rest of those, even though I do think I do think so. Yeah, even though I think Awaken Tamer isn't absolute trash, it doesn't have any pulling is its biggest problem. Its damage is really good, its AoEs are small and has no pulling.
Nayashi, we fine with this setup we currently have?
I don't have any arguments. I mean, he's the actual Kuno here, so
yeah. All right, let's move on to Awaken Wizard. I'll kick us off for this one.
All right.
Awaken Wizard is pretty powerful. Its large scale is second only to its counterpart, and its gender counterpart, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 1v1.
Then it's fourth technically, but yeah.
Yeah. Its 1v1 is weak, probably second weakest in the game, unless we're counting Shy, I suppose, then third weakest. That being said, it is still possible. It is still very possible to win 1v1s with an Awaken Wizard. Just really fucking difficult. Overall, I'd probably place the class. See, this is where we have to get into weighing things, because large scale versus 1v1s for me, I would put I weigh large scale pretty heavily.
Yeah.
So I'd probably put this in A, maybe even S plus, but overall I think its 1v1 is so bad that it goes down into A personally.
Man. Yeah. I mean, I kind of have to agree. I think it's one of the worst 1v1 classes. The only people that made 1v1 work on it in North America anyway were Victors and Ogmer, basically. And then in large scale, like, honestly, if Suck Wizard and Suck Witch didn't exist, like, everyone would still be an Awaken Witch or Awaken Wizard, like, ideally. It'd be like the best class,
That's the thing, is it's the fourth best class for large scale now, right? Which might as well be last as far as that family is concerned.
Yeah. So I think A is okay. It's just like it's just such a weird thing because no one plays it, because everyone that plays that class can choose the other spec freely.
Yeah. Nashi, do you have any qualms with this? Would you rank it higher,
either
lower?
B plus or A. It's definitely better than a lot of the B plus though, so I would say more of an A, just because it has a more utility in large scale, not necessarily because it's better in the 1v1 elements.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and knock
down
this
much
one
better
out,
than-
hey boys. All right, there we go. Let's go ahead and move on to the PvE list.
Yeah, I think there's no arguments there.
No arguments there. If I could say a few words.
Go say a few words,
a
please.
few words in mourning for the other classes.
I'm not gonna complain, okay? Because I spend a lot of time complaining on stream and in my personal life to Miss Frosty about Succession Wizard, and to my friends and family.
Wait, to Miss Frosty? Does she even know what you're talking
everyone,
about?
all the time.
Frosty's like, I complain to Miss Frosty, my friends and family, the telemarketers that call me. I'm like, it's fucking class, dude. It's ruining my game.
So people know Succession Wizard has extremely high damage at melee, extremely high damage at range, a ton of protection, a ton of movement, very fast cast animations. It has a ton of utility with 2 heals, 3 if you're not selfish. It has protected area. It has mana shield. Its E buff gives it accuracy and damage. It's quite powerful. Succession Wizard is like, has everything good that a class could have, except for a grab. But it's so good that people forget that it doesn't have a grab. Like,
yeah.
It's like the only class like that in the whole game. And the thing is with Succession Wizard, and I'm just gonna state facts here. This is not how I feel. This is what is happening in the game. Siege, Node Wars, large scale are dictated by this class. GVGs are dictated by this class. People's guild makeup and recruiting is dictated by this class. The entire
RBF.
game, RBF, is dictated by this class. It all revolves around this class. A majority of players are forced to play this class. If you're struggling on a class, you either quit the game because you hate it, or you deal with it, or you play this class and actually have fun and slaughter people. So this class is I actually think that it's in such a state that it's actually really, really bad for the game overall. The state that this class is in. That's just, that last part is my opinion. The rest of it is true. Everything is dictated by this class, but that very last part, that it's bad for the game, I think is that's my opinion. So that's just all. Just wanted to get that out there.
Just because I know there are going to be Suck Wizards who complain about this,
Mm-hmm.
Where would you guys place this in 1v1, and why does it not matter what the 1v1 score is? It still goes into S.
I think that
I'll go ahead and start us off. In 1v1, this is probably a B+ class. I mean, it's above average. It has all the tools it needs. Like you said, the only thing it's missing is a grab. If it had a grab, it would probably be A+ or S, in all honesty.
Yeah, for me, I think it's an A in 1v1s because it has the ability to debuff you a lot. It has the ability to move away from you. Even some of the fastest moving classes kind of struggle to keep up with this class. Like, it can break your block while you're chasing it. It can completely change direction and just go behind your back instantly, CC you. I think overall this class is an A in 1v1. The only thing that maybe it struggles against is people that are higher gear that are 360 block classes. And by 360 block, I have to clarify because people always are like, it doesn't have frontal guard on your back. 360 block is when you're blocking, you also have super armor at the same time. That's just an easier way to say it. Yeah, SAQ block. That's the only class that it really has a hard time with. If you have enough gear, Wizard has a hard time killing those classes. But if you ask a lot of the 360 block classes, like Warriors and Guardians, like just the state of the gear that everyone has right now, it's still very difficult to beat Wizards in 1v1. Plus, they have Mana Shield, which gives resists. Why?
What are my thoughts on this?
How good is Suck in 1v1? Suck Wizard. Where do you rank it?
Did we lose him?
1v1?
No, he's thinking. Yeah, in 1v1.
Yeah, 1v1.
He's being grabbed.
He's being grabbed.
I mean, I don't know. I don't really see this whole Suck Wizard just ruins everything. That's it.
Fair enough.
That's all I gotta say. What do I even say?
Mm-hmm.
And for the final thing before we move on, now I need to explain why it doesn't matter what the 1v1 is. Because this class, as Frosty mentioned previously, is completely dictating every form of PvP that is above 1v1. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, this class is determining everything. And that means that its 1v1 ranking doesn't matter. Even if we put this bitch at fucking F tier for 1v1, if it was still as powerful as it is and still as fucking insanely overtuned as it is for large scale, it would probably still go into S. Something needs to be done about this class. Prilibus, please stop cowering to your fucking CEO who plays Succession Wizard and nerf this fucking class. I know you said you weren't going to complain, so I'll do it. Nerf this goddamn class immediately. Lightning round, PvE, Frosty, why don't you lead us into this?
Awakening is a C, Succession's a B. I think if you optimize Succession and are super good, you can maybe get A tier trash. But I really don't.
That's what I was kind of thinking.
But I think most people are not going to be able to do that, honestly. The problem with its pull, because it actually does have a really good pull, it's just a little bit irritating at some places like Star's End where the pull, Chain Lightning is a stiffen. So it actually stops the mobs from running, even though it gets the aggro going for a split second.
Huh.
Now, it's still better than a lot of classes, but it's not like Mark of Shadow or Ground Roar, you know?
Yeah. I guess I'm fine with that. I don't know. I'd almost be tempted to put Suck Wizard higher, but I guess that's fine. Nayashi?
People that use Suck Wizard to grind are mostly looking for its the spot defense potential. Honestly, that's my personal opinion on it. Like, not necessarily that it's like anything amazing with grind speed. It does do good though. But yeah, I think B's appropriate.
I actually see a lot of wizards grinding on Awakening just because it's chill, even though it's worse. Like if it was Striker level, I don't think people would be doing that, you know, if the difference is that much.
All right, Awaken Witch. Me personally, it's just better Awaken Wizard. I don't know if it's so much better that it would go a tier up. I think I really feel, I know you guys talk about the grab that Awaken Wizard has. I really don't know if it makes it so much better in 1v1s. And even if it does make it so much better in 1v1s, Awaken Witch just is so much better in large scale. Voltaic is the single most busted ability in the game that's not called PA. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I almost want to put this in A+, but I don't know, A or A plus.
Dude, where did you get these icons from?
I kind of, God, I agree. It's weird. It's like if an A is a 95%, an A plus is everything above that, then there's like a 96. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. It's like slightly better. It's hard to say it's A plus, but it's like it's still a pretty good class. I don't know. I guess, I mean, I'm fine with it being an A, but if someone wants to say A plus, I can live with that too, because it's still the third best large scale class in the game. It's just not super good at 1v1s.
Nayashi?
Yeah, I mean, why do witch when you can do wizard?
Well, see, it's funny because in Awakening that's reversed. It's weird.
Yeah, I know, but why do awaken when you can do suck wizard?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely got the frontal guards another range potential that, you know, awaken doesn't have. So I guess that's appropriate, being either B plus or A.
All right, I guess let's go in an A then.
Alrighty.
Even though it's funny because I used to think that the frontal guards that Witch has more frontal guard than super armor. Wizard has more super armor than frontal guard in both their awakenings. I used to think the frontal guards were worse for 1v1s. Now I actually think it's better because you don't get like instant slowed from cancer like
Right.
add-ons and shit and suck wizards
Yeah.
and guardians, and you also can damage trade better with a frontal guard than you can with the super armor. I don't know. I guess I can live with it being an A, but just know that Awaken Witch is literally just better Awaken Wizard. And now it's time for the reverse of that. Succession Witch.
All right.
It's literally just worse Succession Wizard. Does it still go in S or is it going in A plus? Frosty, go.
Here's the thing. It has all of the same problems that a succession wizard presents. So I almost feel like now maybe it is appropriate to make that suck wizard tier and then put suck witch in S. Like I'm not even actually joking, but that makes the most sense and actually seems the most fair to me. If we don't want to do that, I'm fine with it. Then it just has to go in S because it also is still quite good in 1v1 and insane in large scale. Like right now, let's just say you're a T2 guild and you have 5 casters in your guild, right? You go to a 45-man node war, and then you go against Cho Nation, and they have 30 casters in their guild. If every single one of them rolled off of Suck Wizard and onto Suck Witch, would you die the exact same death? And I think the answer is yes. I think that you would just get obliterated the exact same way. You could replace the name Cho Nation with any guild there. If it's 30 casters in their witch or wizard, you're gonna face the same problems, honestly.
So. Yeah, to me, it's if the differences between Awakening Wizard and Awakening Witch aren't like big enough to separate them a tier, then it's the same for Successions. Like Succession Witch is just worse Succession Wizard, but it's not so much worse that I think it belongs a whole tier down below it, honestly.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with it being an S overall. Nashi?
Yeah, I mean, it still does the same shit, honestly. Like, sure, it's a little bit less than Suck Wizard, but it's the same thing. It's recolored, it reskinned. It's same shit in my mind.
Lightning round, Pve, somebody go.
All right, Awakening C. Succession A.
Okay, why?
The way that its passive works benefits it in grinding because it can get full damage MMA off multiple times. It actually was nerfed slightly, but it's still very powerful. It kind of used to be S, but now it's just A. It's very, very good. It's a little bit tedious, but it's good. Very, very good.
Yeah, I agree. Even before they made, because Suck Witch wasn't always worse Suck Wizard. Originally, it was just kind of bad for PvP. But even when it was kind of bad for PvE, I know a lot of witches actually were using it for PvE because it was really strong. So I think yeah, this is probably fine. A for Succession and C for Awakening. Nayashi?
Um, this particular one, as far as the PvP or the PvE, God, I don't ever get to see any streamers with Witch.
You just watched Jay Kuhn's YouTube channel. He's got everything. Also, by the way, I greatly appreciate that person in all his videos. So much information.
Really, that good, huh?
His YouTube channel's A plus tier.
Well, it's hard for me to really give an opinion on the Succession, but I heard it's actually better than the Wizard. So if we have Wizard at B, then I would assume A for Witch.
All right, fair enough. DK, who wants to lead us on this crusade? Awakening DK.
Oh, DK. This is that class, dude. This is that class, right? What does this class do again?
This is that class. This is that class that used to be the current Musas. Then they got like buffed a fuckload under everyone's noses, and now they actually do pretty crazy damage.
Yeah, they do pretty alright damage. I think that they still have some issues. I'm not too sure why they can't have some of the same cancels that Succession has. I feel like that's the biggest limiting thing. I just feel like its range potential is pretty good now, but it's not better than any of the other ranged classes at being ranged, and its melee is also pretty good, but it's not better than any of the melee classes, so it's just really ho-hum. Like I think Awaken DK in 1v1s is pretty alright. It's probably just a flat B class. I don't know. It's like good at peeling, I guess, and it's alright damage and stuff. It's just a B. Really good players can make it good in 1v1, and then in large scale you can like kill, steal, and do some damage, but that's about all you're doing.
To me, I think the biggest issue with Awaken DK is I feel like it has a bit of an identity crisis in large scale. Like, is it kind of like a flanky flank ball class? Is it a flex class?
Yeah, it's a good question.
I guess because
Flinky
like
flank.
I've seen them both. But that being said, they do both of them pretty good. Honestly, like not excellent. They're not as good of a flank or a flex class as like Sork, Ninja, Kuno, um, probably not even Musa Mewa, but they're still like pretty good at it. And as far as like a kind of a flanking ball class, like kind of sitting on the edges of the fight, using their mid to long range abilities to kind of throw shit inwards and keeping themselves safe, they're pretty good at that too. So I would honestly probably put this at a B plus overall. I think their 1v1 is really strong, honestly. And I think their large scale is a little lacking, but not that badly, honestly. I would put this at a B plus overall. Nayashi?
Awaken DK.
I think overall the Awakened DK does pretty decent. But there again, I don't really see people going Awakening over Succession typically. Although the core skills did add a little bit of nifty features for them. I'd say it's probably B. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
think
we're
B
leaving
as
it in
well.
B.
Yeah.
All right, Succession. You want to lead us on this one as well, Frosty?
Yeah, I actually think Succession's one of the better 1v1 classes. I think it's really good in 1v1. I think it's weird because its kit and its mechanics are better than Awakening. In large scale, it's a little easier to defend yourself, but because it doesn't have the range, it's kind of loses a little bit of its usefulness. There's like 2 DKs that perform well in large scale. And one of them, if you only watched him, you would think that Suck DK is actually insane. That's Smoover. But I just don't. I think it's just a slightly better slightly better than Awakening. So I can't even put it in B plus because I don't think it's as good as Suck Ranger or Awaken Zerker. Really, it's like a flex class flanker that does a ton of damage, but once you're committed, you're committed. It's really hard to get out. I don't know. That one's really hard for me. It's like a B, I guess. I don't know. Because I still feel like it's better than Awakening. So then, but I almost feel like Awakening would have to go down to C plus with that group. I don't know. That's just how I feel. For me personally, I would probably put Awaken DK at a C plus and Suck at a B.
So my perspective is kind of jaded because the only Succession Sork DK that I've watched like fight is ISO, who in 1v1s is like pretty fucking insane, and in large scale gets outplayed by Flame Towers. So shout out to Bloodthirst flex lead right there. I don't know. The damage that class puts out is fucking insanity to me. It just straight up does more damage than Awakening at the cost of range, of course, but I also feel like Succession has more mobility. If Awakening is kind of this weird teeter-totter in between ball and flex class, Succession is just full flex. Like at that point you are just a flex class, I feel like. And I think it does its job well. I think it is better than Awakening DK. I don't know if it's so much better that it deserves to go up a tier from Awakening DK or if it should stay in the same tier. I think overall, I'd probably put it in the same tier overall, TBH. Which for me, I put Awakening DK in B plus. I would also put Succession DK in B plus. For me personally, Nayashi.
I personally think B plus. I think their damage is just so high. Um, eh, it's just they just shred everybody.
Yeah. All right. Lightning round. PVE. Who wants to go? Not everyone at once.
they're both really average. I think that I honestly think they're both probably a C. I think Succession can pull slightly more trash, maybe, but the difference isn't that much. And Awakening is a little bit more chill and more protected. You don't have to take as much damage. Like at Turos, you're probably safer with Awakening, but you're less efficient. I don't know. Maybe if I don't know. I guess it would be Suck would be a B if Awaken is a C. It's kind of how I feel about it. They're like a couple hundred trash difference, not that much.
Nayashi.
Yeah, I mean the grinding's pretty average from what I've seen. I haven't seen anything impressive. The numbers that I've seen in videos also don't represent anything that's like super crazy and out of the norm. So yeah, just average overall on B. I get it. I don't see them matching like the A classes. I really don't.
All right. I know nothing about DKPVE, so my opinion's irrelevant. Moving on. Striker. Oh boy. All right. I'll lead us off on this one because it's the class that I've always hated on since the day it came out. Awaken Striker in PvP. 1v1's really fucking strong. the buffs that they got to their fucking clones, I think it got tuned down a tiny bit, but not enough. It still does insane damage in 1v1s. Their clones hit like fucking Mack trucks. They have so many lingering SAs, and as well as having like good iframes. This class is really fucking powerful in 1v1s. In large scale, it struggles just like every other melee ball class. It falls off a lot because they're at the mercy of Suck Witch Zard. Um, Overall, probably for me would put this in A tier.
Um, this one is strange because I actually think that this one is A plus because I think that it's one of the better 1v1 classes. It's either A plus or S in 1v1 now, especially with Spiral SA is very difficult to avoid. I also think in non-siege node wars, it's actually quite a powerful class, and it's one of the few classes where you can build somewhat enough tankiness to not be completely useless in a ball fight, but also in like a flank or flex style fight. There's a lot of Awaken Strikers that are playing flex. With Spiral being SA, you can basically do a completely protected node war combo now with a CC, like a grab and a re-CC. And on top of that, when they fixed Silent Step, made it a lot easier to get out of sticky situations. Because Silent Step used to be completely unprotected when your feet touch the ground, and now it's not. The iframe duration has increased a little bit. So I actually think this class is for PvP an A plus with the others. The only thing that's holding it back from being actually like a great all-around class is Suck Witch. But like if I compare it to Succession Ranger, which is only good in large scale, I think this one's worse than that in large scale, but it's way better in 1v1. I think Suck Strikers or Awaken Striker is one of the best in 1v1. So for me, it's an A plus.
Nayashi?
And its damage is insane. You can build evasion.
It is
and its
really
damage
good
is
now.
nuts.
It's strong, but I I can't sit there and try to justify it being on the same scale as the S classes, even with its strong damage. B plus or A. I won't argue with the A.
Alright, guess we're going A on it then.
And you said what? B plus, Rez?
I said A.
Okay. A makes sense. I can live with A. It's a good class, though. It's a good A.
It's very strong.
It's a good A.
Succession Striker in PvP, mind you. What are we feeling on this?
Yeah, I still think it's like a B plus because it is worse than Awaken Striker, but its 1v1 potential is still really good. I asked 3 strikers this question, and I can only name 2 of them. But if you had to 1v1 for your life, would you do it on Awakening or Succession? And Carvist told me he would do it on Succession. Hunter told me on Awakening. And then the last striker, who shall not be named, said he didn't care either way. So it's like, it's 1v1 potential. I still think Awakening is a little bit better in 1v1, and in large scale, I think Awakening has better. Its leg drop hits harder because of the flow, and I think Echo Spirit is actually a good. It's just a little bit better. So I would say a tier below Awakening.
Nayashi?
You really think it's below Awakening?
Yeah, because large scale, man, it's like it doesn't have protected damage the way Awakening does for fights with more than one person. That's where it really falls off hard.
Yeah, I guess
So
that's true.
it really
And
might
it is
even
surprising
be
for a class like Striker. That's typically a lot of protected.
Yeah, it might even honestly be a B in PvP, like realistically. Succession version.
There's 1v1's pretty strong still, but Yeah, I mean, Awakening's definitely got more of the utility they need from what I've seen, and like you said, the protected damage. So that is a nice aspect. So the clones are really good. Yeah, I guess B plus is fine.
Yeah,
It's either B or B plus.
I would also agree with B plus. I think it is just slightly worse Awaken Striker for PvP. And always for me. Um,
Don't worry, the next
uh,
section will make up for it.
yeah, really. So, B plus for me is perfectly fine for Succession
If
Striker.
if they ever gave
Lightning round.
if they ever if they
There we
ever gave
go.
Rage Hammer back bound in the Succession version, might actually change that because you can use it while moving and it's kind of insane.
Awaken Striker, where's this belong?
Awaken Striker is actually an A tier grinder, believe it or
Say
not. Awaken
B,
Striker
but yeah.
Awaken Striker is very good at grinding at the high end spots. So I went and made sure to double check this. If you are at Star's End or a place like lower than Star's End, like Thornwood or whatever, Awaken Striker actually can do just as well as Succession Striker because the mobs die fast enough that you don't need filler damage past the initial rotation. But if you're
Makes
at
sense.
like Ash Forest, Secrea, Turos, or Loon Valley, Suck Striker is just a lot better. So yeah, Awakening I would put as an A grinder nowadays. The pulling is insane and the damage is good, and Succession is just S. It's one of my 3 S's.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think I would agree with that.
I agree with that. I was thinking more
I
B for the Awakening, but that would
Yeah,
be
that's
the
what I
only
was about to
difference.
say. I might be tempted to put Awaken Striker in B, but honestly, I don't know enough about it to really
Yeah,
dispute.
I'm in
TBH.
the
So
same boat. Like, I feel like it's a B, but then again, I don't have enough info to back it up. So Frosty seems to have a little bit more of a take on it. So
Awaken Mystic. Frosty, do you want to lead us on Mystic?
Dude, this class is borderline with Awaken Kuno. It needs to be it just needs it just needs to be remembered that it's there. Its damage is so low that all of its utility is just borderline irrelevant. Um, all almost every mystic that plays the game plays Succession not because they like it more, but just because it does more damage. The Unbridled Wrath change to the bomb helped, but it also helped suck. So it's like it didn't close the gap at all.
we solve no problems here.
Yeah, I think that it's. I don't even know if it's a B. Let me look at these Bs here. I don't even think it's as good as Awaken Ranger. I don't think it's as good as Suck Musa, or I don't know. To me, it's probably a C plus. It's not very useful in
Alright.
large scale. It has a vacuum, but so what? You die in it. It does no damage.
You die in it.
Yeah,
It literally is a self CC.
Yeah.
Nayashi?
I think that's fair. I mean, they've lost their relevance with the meta as it is, unfortunately. I remember having when Dildo was on the podcast way back, he was talking about how he wanted a protected disengage because once he goes in, it's a suicide mission basically. But yeah, even after getting it, it's still not enough. So
Imagine how good this class would be if it still was as tanky against magic classes as it used to be.
oh god, with how the
Well,
DP brackets are
well, here's
now.
the thing though. Yeah, except that the Striker version would be just so much better because it
Oh
actually
my
does
god,
damage.
yeah, it would
Yeah,
be
that's
disgusting.
true.
So it'd still be second fiddle. But yeah, if I mean I'm not, dude. I've been talking about that. This is a little mini aside, but the magic DP almost needs to be changed because it doesn't make sense against most classes. It kind of just needs to be changed to mage DP.
Mage DP. Well, no, I mean DK's damage is kind of off the charts. It kind of makes sense for them.
Yeah, but the rest of us died at DKs. So
True.
yeah.
Yeah, I think overall C plus is probably fine. They do have a vacuum, which is annoying in Cancer, but it's literally the worst vacuum in the game. Even Nova's vacuum is better than it. So yeah, that the utility, the self PA that is also a channel, so you're basically CCing yourself, like not very useful. Also suck like 30 suck wizards can still just kill you out of it probably. I don't know. C plus seems fine for Awaken Mystic. Succession Mystic. Frosty.
I would put it probably where Suck Striker is
Where it belongs.
in PvP, because I think that it's okay. It's pretty good at 1v1s. Its damage is okay. Just not super great in large scale because it does have some protected damage, but it doesn't really have protected hard-hitting skills like leg drop. Like Wave Orb is not protected during the last hit. Unbridled Wrath is completely unprotected and no CC. So yeah, for me it's like a B plus, maybe even a B. It's somewhere between there. So I don't know. I guess B plus for now.
I think I would personally say this is B. I think this is better than Awaken Mystic. I don't think it's as strong as the classes in B plus.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Like maybe
not.
maybe it's close to Stuck Striker, but I think Stuck Striker is like kind of barely in there. I don't know. I personally would probably put this at B. Nayashi?
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards B. It's just it's not in the same boat as Striker.
Even
Lightning
the non grab classes are like, if it doesn't just completely outgear you, you're not even afraid of it.
No, not really.
It's just gonna
Lightning
Soul
round.
Basher in place. Soul Basher
I mean, the-
does nothing. It's so stupid. It's just an SA.
With enough damage, it can be pretty threatening. But yeah, they have some gaps that's easily exposed and exploitable. So
Frosty, do you know about Mystic PV?
yeah. So Mystic PV on Suck and Awakening are now about the same, and they're both about a B. They're both pretty good. They're slightly above what that C rank is. So, when they buffed Awakening this last time in PvE, had it catch up to Suck, and arguably is actually an easier grind than Succession. A lot less abilities, so quite good. And the Unbridled Wrath change helped a lot too.
I know absolutely nothing about Mystic PvE, so my opinion's irrelevant. Nayashi, do you have anything?
S tier. No, I'm just fucking with you. No, I have no idea. No idea.
All right, Lon, Frosty, you can probably lead us on this one too, since you played it
Ooh.
for a little bit.
Lon is really good in 1v1s. But it is not S tier 1v1 in my opinion. I know everyone thinks that it is, and I think that it is very good in 1v1. I think for all the other 1v1 classes, it's I think Warrior has an edge. I think Ninja has an edge. I think Kuno has an edge. I even think Valkyrie, because it resists, have a bit of an edge. It can be annoying if without the resist, because that grab is just fucking wild. And they do have protected CCs, but they're fairly slow. The bond skills helped. And in large scale, it's not particularly great, but it's not as bad as it used to be, because they changed a lot of things that help large scale. Unbridled Wrath, Unbridled Despair, which is SRMB, has Frontal Guard now instead of the stun, which actually helped it a lot. The bond skill helped it a lot, or core skill rather. So it's a pretty decent flex class. I probably would put this class at like a B plus or an A, but I don't know. It's probably close to Striker level, I think, but I don't know. Probably a B plus, but now it makes Suck Striker not make sense, because I think it's better than Suck Striker.
Well,
So
I'll go ahead and figure that out for you.
Okay.
Awaken Lon is definitely A tier to me. Its 1v1 is insane.
Its damage is insane too now.
If it's not S, it's fucking knocking on the door of S tier. I personally would probably put it in S tier for 1v1. But if it's not there, it is like right fucking next door.
Yeah.
It's also really good in large scale. Lon has a very, and this is true for both Succession and Awakening, I feel like. Lon has a very unique position in Node Wars in large scale with its ability, not in siege, but in open field fights, with its ability to fly into bases and kill rebuilds, and then get out. It is like the best at doing that. Now, in terms of fighting in large scale, you could say one way or the other. I think Awakening does that a little bit better. But that is a very, very unique thing that is unique to Lon specifically, and it does it really fucking well. The ability to just fly in from out of nowhere, the top of some fucking rock somewhere, take out one Rico that's rebuilding, and then get out of dodge before he even gets grabbed. They do it very fucking well. To me, this is an A tier class. Nayashi?
Um, yeah, the Awakening's pretty good. Still can handle whatever is thrown at it, but I'd say B plus. It's Awakening's kind of.
I can live with A. Honestly, I feel like I feel like it's not. It's better than those classes in B plus. It's the thing.
Are you changing the A?
Yeah, I kind of think it needs to be an A, honestly.
All right, we'll roll with A then, I suppose. Nayashi, were you
No,
not done
no.
saying stuff?
Yeah, I have no quarrels with that.
All right, Succession Lawn. Frosty, did you play Succession Lawn?
I played a lot of Succession Lawn, and then they destroyed it with a balance patch. Succession Lawn is weird because it doesn't have a grab, and it does not have as much damage. The trading isn't as good as it used to be. Its skills are relatively slow. It's got a lot of little utility, and I actually think it's a hair better in large scale just because of the spin. But it's significantly worse in 1v1 by like a lot. So for me, it would be, it's probably a B. Yeah, I feel like it's probably a B, maybe a B plus, because it can stop rebuilds really well. So it's a pretty good flex class. But yeah, I don't know, maybe B plus.
Nayashi?
I would have to say Succession hits pretty fucking hard. I don't know, after fighting Dree the other day, which
He's
idea
awakening.
was, yeah, he is awakening. So with enough gear, you fucking shred
Yeah,
people,
awakening
that's for
is
sure.
it does hit super hard, dude.
Yeah. So I guess we're gonna have to go with Succession being B plus to B. I think B.
Yeah, I also think it's probably B.
It
I
was just
think
like after those major nerfs way back, like I know they kind of tried to fix a little bit of it, but left most of it pretty much as it was.
I think Succession Lawn is kind of just worse Awakening Lawn. Um, I don't know. I think they have. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that they have more protected damage, which you can argue, and bigger AoEs, which you can argue is better for large scale. But the thing is that Lon's number one thing they're doing is running into bases, assassinating one fucking structure, and getting out anyway. You don't need like big protected AoEs to really do that. What you need is like high DPS so you can insta gib something and get out. And I think Awakening just does that better.
Yeah.
Awakening is also just better in 1v1, and I think it's also just better in small scale. So I feel like this is a B. Maybe someone could argue that it's a B plus, but for me, I think it's a B. So I think overall it's going B. Um, Frosty, PvE, where do these classes go? Because I know nothing about them.
Lawn is quite good. Awaken Lawn is quite good in PvE. I'm trying to think if it's actually better or as good as Sork, though. I don't think it is. I think it's a little bit below Sork because it's pulling at everywhere but Secrea. So I think it's a B. in PvE, and Suck is my second S tier. Suck is insane in PvE. Absolutely insane. And the thing is with Suck is like this is one of the few classes that even though its pulling is not amazing, it does so much damage that it almost doesn't matter. It's kind of nuts. So yeah, Suck is insanely good, and it's super good at the high end spots too. Aloon Valley, Turos, and Ash Forest. So yeah.
All right. I don't know enough about those classes to dispute those rankings. Nayashi?
I know its grinding is actually pretty good, so.
Grinding is insane. You can get 1,200. It might be 1,250 skill points, and you can pull 5.5 to 6K in Sakura. It's insane.
That's ridiculous.
You use 4 or 5 abilities. That class is wild.
Yeah.
And its pack to pack is super good on Succession especially. It's kind of nutty.
All right. Archer. I guess I'll take the lead on this one. It's time for Moors to be really mad at me because I always think Archer is better than he does.
Yeah.
It's a good class, and I think Moors would agree with that statement. I think we just disagree on how good it is, which is probably I would take Moors' word over mine, but it's my tier list, so fuck you, Moors. I think I would probably overall put Archer at an A. It's 1v1 is pretty good, probably like B plus range, B to B plus. It's small scale to me is actually really good. Personally, its ability to kite if you get focused, and its ability to do massive damage if you don't, makes it a very useful class in small scale. And in large scale, while yes, it is just straight up getting out DPS'd and outmaneuvered and out tanked by Succession, Witch and Wizard, and Awakening Witch and Wizard, it still has its place in large scale. I think it's slightly worse than Succession Ranger in large scale, but it's better in 1v1s, and I think it's way better in small scale. So I would put it above Succession Ranger, which would put it in A tier for me personally.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think that it's underrated in 1v1. I think it's one of the more challenging classes to fight in 1v1s. Unfortunately, every archer has convinced themselves that DP doesn't help. So they all have 301 DP and they die in one skill. But if they could actually take a hit, which I know they can because I've seen a few archers with gear, where you don't die just standing
Frosty.
up. No, not him. Although he also is, he literally doesn't take damage until he's CC'd. It's kind of crazy. But no, I've seen some people with just normal C9 armors, and it's like, oh, like this person doesn't die standing up at all. Like I have to catch him. Whereas all the other archers told themselves that they don't need to. So anyway, yeah, in 1v1, I think it's a borderline A plus in 1v1, and large scale, I think it's just the problem is it's worse than the casters. And I think it's worse than Suck in large scale, Suck Ranger in large scale, but it still isn't useless. You can still have fun with it, and you can still frag out. So, yeah, I think A is a good spot for it. I also think that the Raboms and the Rabom changes kind of helped that class a lot, and as well as the core skill in the last few months.
Yeah, the core skill definitely helped it.
I mean, I was gonna list it more as like a BB plus, but I guess that works with A. Like, I get where you're coming from, but like from large scale, it's just not as good as like Suck Ranger.
It's not, but in 1v1 is way better than Suck Ranger.
Yeah, I suppose.
I think Mewa and Musa have this. It's different. It's like the one class that just it doesn't slow stack the shit out of you. So Musa Mewa are like a huge threat to it that a lot of other classes don't have.
Yeah. It's true.
I would say from experience,
susceptible to slow stacking.
I would say from experience that fighting a Musa or Mewa as an archer is really fucking hard for me personally. I don't know if that's necessarily a class thing. Maybe Moores would disagree. Like I said, take his word over mine on everything archer related. He's way better than I am. But I know I struggled like quite a bit versus Moose's and Maywas as an archer, honestly. So all right, and there's no succession, obviously, so we
No.
move to PvE, I suppose. Archer in PvE, I would say is probably B or C. I'd probably say C personally. It does fine. I don't know. Doesn't really do anything exceptional except for like Ackman, which who grinds Ackman anymore?
Yeah, Awakening Archer has a everyone says it sucks and it's really hard and it does no damage and has no back attacks, but it does fine. It's average. It's C. Pulls the same as all those middle tier classes. Compared to the top tier, it's awful, but compared to the average class, it's fine.
Nayashi?
I can't really say for sure where it is on the grinding scale. But I haven't heard anything special about it. We'll just put it that way.
All right. All right, we got a bit of a special case here. We got Shy.
Yeah, we
So
did.
Shy
Yeah,
is
we
an
did.
interesting class because Shy was originally not supposed to be a normal class that you would see being used in PvP, but they then gave it such ridiculously powerful utility that it is now a very necessary class to have in large scale PvP. You need like at least like 2 or 3 of them if you are a really large guild and or a siege guild that is warring. So, while it doesn't do damage because it's not supposed to be a combat class, it is absolutely necessary for siege and for very large node wars. So I would almost say that this kind of puts it somewhere in the middle if we're ranking it seriously, somewhere in the middle, like fucking B or C plus.
This one
This the
is
awkward one.
This one's rough because while it
You know
does,
you're gonna get ganked by a red Shy later this week.
it does have
That's why
powerful.
it's rough.
It does have powerful utility, and overall, it's really nice to have a couple of Shies. In Siege, it's absolutely necessary. I don't feel as strongly that it's as necessary in Node War. I think if you have one, you're fine. In Siege, a couple helps because that bubble is just, I can't believe that's still in the game. But I still think overall as a support class, Wizwitch is still just better, is the weird thing. So even at its role, I don't think it's the best. So for me, it's like a C plus or a B as well.
Nayashi?
And it's just, obviously it can't defend itself for 1v1, which
yeah,
turns a lot of people off. It's like a non-starter for most of the community, which I actually think sucks. I kind of wish they would go back on that philosophy.
Turn it into a real class.
I kind of do. As much as like I agree with you, like I mean, people complaining that it's not a real class doesn't really make a lot of sense because they were very clear about that. But at this point, I'm like, yeah, but it's kind of a failed experiment. Like maybe just redesign it and make it a normal class.
I think that's fair. I would have to say this is probably like more like a C, like a hard C, just because of it's limited. You know, like it only has really one build it can truly do.
Of course, the guy who doesn't know the war thinks that.
When have you seen? Have you honestly ever seen an AP Shy in a large scale scenario?
No, but they don't just. It's not just the bubble, dude. They have a lot of utility that they bring to the table in Node Wars.
Yeah, they
It's
do.
not
They
just the
do.
bubble.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's just there's really not, in my opinion, not too much else they can really do besides their utility spells, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
That's my problem. It's just so limited.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's just kind of a weird class in general, and I think you probably agree with Frosty as well, Nash. I know I do. I think it's at this point you can say it's a failed experiment, and they tried to do this weird hybrid thing where they said it's not a combat class, but then they gave it skills that made it a combat class. And it's like, you should have either done all or nothing. You did this weird hybrid thing, and it's failed miserably at this point. And you need to go back and revert it to either being a non-combat class, like you said originally, or just a normal combat class. It needs to be one or the other. This weird thing where it doesn't do damage, but it's also a really powerful support class, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think overall we're going C plus on this. Me and Frosty are B, C plus, Nayashi C, so that puts it at C plus. In PvE, I would say this is S tier. I've seen the videos. Shy is absolutely necessary for golem grinding. It is really powerful for your Turos partner. It is extremely, extremely, extremely powerful in PvE.
I'm about to hard disagree here. So it is straight up average everywhere else except for Aloon Valley. And Tauros, it's okay, but there's still at least 5, 6, 7 classes that are better than it. And then everywhere else, it's like either suboptimal or only average. Aloon Valley, it is very strong, and it is very nice to have. It is not a necessity. There are so many Aloon Valley groups that do not grind with Shy. Yes, it's easier with a Shy, but it's not necessary to have a Shy. You don't absolutely have to have one. So even at the thing that it's best at, you can live without it. So for me, I don't think that bumps it up enough to make it S tier at grinding. It's awful at low end spots. It's awful at Mansions. If you're doing the pot grind on a Shy, you're going to gouge your eyes out. It's going to be terrible. If you go grind Secrea, it's only average. If you grind Star Zen, the pulling kind of sucks. So I don't think it's a very good grinder. I think it's very nice at Aloon Valley, and you can make an alt just for that. But if it's your main class, I think it's going to be miserable.
But are you saying that it's going to be miserable because it just pulls less trash? Because I think I just disagree with that. I don't think it's pulling the same trash as like these classes. Or, I mean, I don't even know if I would agree with these classes at those spots that you say it's horrible at.
Well, what spot does it pull better outside of like Tauros and Aloon? It's just C. It pulls like 5k at Secrea, maybe slightly over 5k. It pulls, I don't even know if it can pull 5k. It's like 4.8, 4.9, maybe a couple pull 5 at Star Zen. At Thorn, is it good at Thornwood? I don't think it's good at Thornwood or any of the pot ground spots. It's like literally only elite at the top end spot where you sit and spend a little bit of time and you can buff up your party. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, but
so I mean, where would you put it then?
I don't know. Like for me, it's like I feel like it at every spot except for the high ends, it's like a C. But at the high end, like at Aloon, it's definitely an S. And at Tauros, I haven't seen as much that it's that good at Tauros. So I don't know. I'd have to. I mean, for me, it at best would be like a B or a C. But if you want to split the difference, that's fine. Because, I mean, everyone feels that way. I just feel like it's only one spot. Like, I don't know. Are we going to use it in Aloon? I mean, are we going to use it in the Hadoon server in the future? Are you going to grind on the...
Probably.
The pot grind?
If the Hadoon has group spots, you're almost definitely going to want to have Shies there. But, I mean, we don't know for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It yet. Nayashi?
I'm okay with putting it at B. Like, it is pretty fucking top tier. Like we're doing a tiering list. We're not doing a it's nice to have, you know, but you could definitely get away with something else. Like we're doing a tier list here. So that's my thoughts on it. I think it's definitely one of the better options to have from a group makeup standpoint, and one of the hardest fucking zones to grind. I think that's fair for us to, you know, basically you know, give it, you know, what we feel it needs.
It's not your daughter.
We need to give it what it needs, and that's a B tier. You know? Like it's
So I would say it's S. Frosty would say B or C. Nashi would say B. So we'll say that averages out. to B. If we had a B plus, it'd probably go there, but B is fine. Just know that I think it's a lot better personally, but that's fine.
Dude, go grind Ronaros with a shy and tell me how you feel.
No, because it's boring.
Dude, it's also just awful.
It's mind numbing, and I understand it's mind numbing, but I don't know. I feel like they're still pulling like pretty good trash, but maybe I'm incorrect about that. That's my understanding of the class.
It honestly used to be the case. Like you get, so Cine is an shy expert. If you remember, Cine had a shy ult for grinding Secrea, because it used to be like, oh, it can get like 4.2, 4.3 at Secrea with like 269 Kudum, like before any of the other classes were very good there. But now all the classes got buffed so much and Succession came out that it just kind of fell behind.
Yeah. Awaken Guardian. Nashi, why don't you lead us into this one?
Awaken Guardian. Oh, you have jokes.
It jokes by letting you start first.
Oh man. So Awaken Guardian, fucking S tier. No. Honestly, I think it's an A tier, and the reason why is because it's extremely strong in large scale. Actually, yeah, you know what? It has to be A plus. It has to be. It's obviously not a suck wizard and whatnot, but it's too invaluable to large scale. Its AoE damage is like ridiculous. It provides so much damage output in an AoE format. It's just crazy. Yeah, A plus. Like 1v1s, it does fine. It's a gear checker for sure. And then yeah, it's A plus. That's it.
Roslar, your thoughts?
Pretty much everything you said about Succession Valk, I would say about Awaken Guardian. It's, to me, this is the only melee ball class that can survive today, just because of the raw healing it does, and also just the fact that it slows everything around it 24/7, no matter what it's doing. It's also inherently just the tankiest class in the game, which hurts my heart as a berserker. It's everyone was like, "Oh, Nova will be as tanky as Guardian." Well, technically, Guardian's tankier because it also regens a fuckload more HP than Nova does. So, I would put this at A plus. Its 1v1 is really fucking strong. If you don't have a grab, it's really, really, really fucking hard to beat it because you're just trying to fucking like trade and find gaps, and the whole time it's just fucking slowing you. If you do have a grab, it's a little bit easier, but they still have 2 iframes, both of which are instant iframes that they can activate on fairly low cooldowns. The flying one being fairly long, but the sidestep one is pretty short. And yeah, just really strong in general. Small scale, it's fucking insane, honestly. If somebody runs up to grab you, a teammate can just peel for you, and if somebody doesn't run up to grab you, then you are just slowing everyone and insta killing anything that doesn't have as much tankiness as you, which is no one. So very annoying. The only classes better than it are the Succession mages.
So I have to correct you on one thing, and I don't blame you for this because I have to correct Guardian mains on this all the time as well. Guardian has 4 iframes. 4
Do they?
separate abilities that give them iframe. One is their just Awaken Dash is an iframe. Their side scoot dash that becomes super armor after the initial iframe part with the stiffen on it is an iframe. Phoenix Dive is an iframe. And then they have one skill that starts off not as an iframe. It's either super armor or unprotected, like a slide, and then teleports you 3 times for 3 hits, and then has a long get up animation. The moment you start teleporting, all the way until the animation completely stops moving, you're in iframe, just like Tree Climb on Tamer. It is a really, really long iframe. That's super good for buying time for your cooldowns to come back.
Are you sure the Awakening movement is iframe, though? I thought that was SA.
Yep, it's iframe. And then here's the other thing. I think that this class is underrated in 1v1, and I think it's because the average Guardian looks at the class as this high damage class, and that's why they're playing it, because it's really easy, big AoEs, high damage. Whenever I ask a Guardian like how they feel their class is at 1v1, I always do it after I've already seen how they fight, and then I realize why they think that it's so bad at 1v1, because their idea of fighting a ninja or a kuno is using forward F to do the little run thing with the axe in front, and then immediately using God Incinerator, which doesn't make any sense at all. Like, you gotta CC somebody, you know? So I think that it's actually a lot better at 1v1 than people give it credit for, and I think that it's just a little bit harder to be really good against the assassin classes in 1v1. So for me, I don't think it's as good in large scale anymore as I used to, but I do still think it's pretty good. So for me, it's like an A or an A+. So I will let you two decide where you want to leave it. But yeah, overall, I think it's a very, very good class in the game. Like, Guardian is a really well-rounded, solid class. And annoying because of the slows.
All right, so Succession Guardian. Who wants to go first on this one?
So Suck. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say.
You know what? I'll go first. You both shut up.
All
To
right.
me, Succession Guardian is just slightly worse Awakening Guardian. I think there's a lot more potential for like outplay, but they don't have as much like tankiness, and they don't have the cancer ass fucking slows, is my understanding. So I would probably put this at A or B plus. It's still really good. They still pump out a good amount of damage. Their AoEs are fucking ridiculous. I think it's just like slightly worse. I'd probably say A tier overall.
Yeah, I would put Suck right below Awakening, except I do think that Suck, it might be better in 1v1, depending on the player, but not by a lot. I think that they're pretty close. And then in large scale, the only reason I would give Awakening the edge is because Cleansing Flame with the core skill is wild. And that's all. So yeah, for me, it's an A. It's pretty good at
Nashi?
1v1, maybe better, but worse, a little bit worse than large scale.
I think it's definitely I don't know. People really underestimate its fucking damage potential. Like,
Yeah, its damage is better.
Mhm.
Like, its
Actually
damage in
nutty.
like a single target scenario is literally just better.
Mina played Succession Guardian for a couple weeks, and one of the things he talked about was the size of the AoEs, which I think people don't realize. He showed me the AoE of his Shift Q, Succession Guardian's Shift Q. That shit is like double, if not triple, the size of a Voltaic Pulse. It is fucking insane how much AoE that fucking kit has. It's actually nutty. So are we happy with leaving this in A?
I'm happy with that. I'm fine with A.
All right. Lightning round, PvE. I think Awakening probably goes in. I don't know.
I think Guardian
Frosty?
gets overestimated in PvE because it's a chill grind and it's pretty good. But I think that you need a lot of gear for it to get to like being really good. So for me, it's a B. It's above average, but it's not amazing. If the Rabomb, that's a 20-second cooldown that they use to pull, was changed to 10 seconds, would probably buff it up to A tier. Like, that is the only reason they don't pull more trash, is because that Rabomb is a 20-second cooldown.
Yeah, I would say either B or C, so B is fine. Succession, I know nothing about Succession PvE, so what do you know?
Suck is right below it. Suck is right below it. It's you can't start doing, even though Shift Q's AoE is big, the overall like rotation isn't that big AoE, so you have to pull. Here's how it was explained to me, because I was like, what is it about it that's worse? And it's the pulling has to be more precise, because the targets need to be in front of you, and you have something like with their abilities that move them forward, so you have to reposition more than you do on Awakening. So slightly worse.
All right. Nashi, you here?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Do you because you gotta go soon. Do you want to just
Yeah.
give us your rapid fire where you would put these last 4,
Sure.
and that way you
So
can get out of here?
Hashishine Awakening grinding wise. Actually, for both of them, they're pretty close. Succession's slightly better from what I've heard. I know there's some that think the Awakening's stronger, or they think they're even. I think I've heard overall though that Succession's slightly better. I would say it's probably at the oh, uh, probably B plus
So for
for
PvP or grinding right now, what are you doing first?
yeah. I was actually originally thinking grinding, but it actually applies to both. So it's slightly better for like large scale of succession, and also grinding
So
for
what,
large scale
Succession like
as
B
well as grinding.
plus?
I would say B plus for succession and B for awakening, but
Okay.
it's just they're one's better in the 1v1 because of the grab, and then the other one's better in the large scale because of the chip damage potential it pumps out. But the succession could actually still pull off the 1v1s pretty well against most classes.
All right. And give us your thoughts on Nova Awakening and Succession, and then you can go ahead and get
Nova.
out of here.
Yeah. So Nova, um, right now it needs more of its skills that it's missing. So it's kind of like C plus for PvP to maybe B.
For Awakening?
Yeah. I think B for Awakening, and I think C plus for Succession. And that's mostly just because one's better for 1v1. I think they're both not really in a good spot for large scale right now. And they're both really susceptible to slow, so Succession's just all SA trading, same with Awakening, and so like both of them are kind of in a bad spot. One just has better mobility.
All right.
Cool.
Fair
I
enough.
got you covered for the grinding. I studied both these classes intensely.
Extensively.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All
All
right.
right, man. Take it easy.
No problem. All right, man. Take it easy. All right. It's just
All right.
me and you now, compadre.
All right. So we starting with hash then?
Awaken Hash. Yeah,
All right.
Awaken Hash.
Awaken hash for PvP, I think I'm only gonna put it at an A. I think it's pretty good in 1v1. I think it has a lot of outplay potential. I think that the grab is kind of nice. And it does have a lot of it's weird because on paper it actually seems like it'd be insane in large scale because of the protected damage, but I think that the damage comes out too slowly. The DPS is my biggest problem with the class. I do think the movement is great and the 1v1 stuff is great, but I think in multiple fights, like, you just don't have a whole lot of time to kill people, and it takes too long to kill people. So I can only give it a B plus. I think Suck is sorry. You go ahead. Let's go Awakening first.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this works out pretty good because you say A, Nayashi says B. I would say B plus, so this works out pretty well. I agree with you. I think it's really powerful in 1v1, and I honestly think it's way more powerful in 1v1 than people give it credit for. I think all the people who think that the 1v1 is kind of bad for Awaken Hash just haven't fought a good Hash yet, because when you fight a good Awaken Hash, that kit is really fucking insane. But like you said, I 100% agree. The DPS on it is just kind of low, so its ability to kill people in large scale is just it's just not there. It can't do that quick burst of damage and then get out. Like, everything just takes too fucking long. So while it has these big protected AoEs, it doesn't really work that well. So it ends up being relegated to kind of like a flex position, but it's not as good as a flex position as like the other flex classes. So yeah, I would probably say B plus is where I would put it. So Succession. Now this is what you're playing, correct? Now currently.
Yeah. I actually think Succession is better. Here's how I look at Suck. Suck is like Suck Hash is a slightly better version of Succession Sork. I think that it's like if you gave Succession Sork stamina, or sorry, not stamina, an S block and a tiny bit more just distance movement, then you're looking at like Suck Hash. So for me, I think it's a pretty great flex class that does a lot of damage, AoE protected damage. I also think it's super good in 1v1 and really hard to catch, even though it is weaker in the matchups, like the class is like 360 blocks. I still think it's not like those classes get a free win on it, because it's still very hard to catch a Suck Hash. So even in the bad matchups that Awakening is technically better because it has the grab, it's not like those classes get to just grab the Suck Hash and win, you know? The Suck Hash can cancel everything with an iframe. So yeah, for me, I think Suck Hash is closer to an A. I think it's probably an A. I don't think it's as good as Sork or Valk or the ninjas, but I think it's up there.
So I would probably say the changes compensate for each other. I think Succession Hash in 1v1, I know everyone talks about the damage, and yes, its damage is higher, but Awaken Hash still has no problem one comboing people. So like the DPS is kind of irrelevant at a certain point in 1v1s. So I would say that the catching potential of the Awaken Hash makes it better in 1v1 versus like Succession Hash. But where that DPS does matter is in large scale. It literally fixes the problems that we talked about with the Awaken Hash, or now all of a sudden it has the DPS to just like 2-skill people and then get the fuck out of dodge in large scale before it gets caught. So I would say that those two kind of compensate for each other a little bit. It's not a big enough change one way or the other for me to really move this like up or down a tier. I would honestly keep this in the same tier as Awaken Hash, personally. So that leaves you putting it in A and me and Nayashi putting it in B plus. So I guess we're leaving it in B plus.
Forced.
PvE.
PvE Awakening is it's a B. It's pretty good at grinding. It's not better than Sork in any of the spots or Awaken Striker, but it is close. If we had subgrades, it would probably be a B plus. Succession is my third and last S tier grinder. Succession is insane. It has insane damage, insane combos, insane pack to pack, and really, really good pulling.
Yeah, I'd almost be tempted to put Hash in A, but I honestly don't know enough about it to really make like that case. So I'll just say yeah, B works fine. High B, like you said. And the last and newest class, it's time to talk about the class you've already given up on, Nova.
So this part saddens me because we had a deadline, so we had to get the tier list out in time. The class does not, so this, I do have to put the disclaimer, it does not have its core skills. It does not have Rabombs. And I feel very confident that it is going to get a significant amount of changes over the next few weeks. And I went and did a little digging because I was talking to a friend about this. I was like, dude, Hash got changes, like a bunch of changes before we got it, because this is the first time we've gotten a global lab, or sorry, a global release class since Archer, right?
Archer, yep.
So one of the things you have to factor in is we don't have all of these bug fixes and changes and buffs that everyone else got. Now, Hash, I think its changes weren't as major as some of the other classes, so people don't remember them, myself included. I was like, I don't remember what. Didn't Hash get buffs? I'm pretty sure I saw it in a patch, and I can only really remember one where they sped up some of the awakening skills. So I went back and looked, and there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consecutive weeks where the Hashashin changes got at least 10 bullet points of changes. So I feel confident that the Nova is going to still get more as well. So I just want to put that out there. It's not a complete class, but as it stands, I think Awakening for PvP is really mediocre. I think it's a C+. I think it's probably a B or a B+ in 1v1 because it has a little bit of outplay potential with the movement and getting behind your back and CCing you. But it does not take very long for someone to realize, like, all I got to do is protect my back and I'm fine. It has no protected CCs in the Awakening kit anymore. It did the first week and then it got removed in the second week. And its pre-Awaken kit just feels really disjointed and is really only useful in very, very specific cases. For example, if I'm against a Sork that doesn't have a lot more AP than I have DP, then I can sit in the pre-Awaken block for a while, but against geared Sorks, I can't. They just hit my back and my side, so I still just die. And that grab, good luck landing that grab on a Sork. So yeah, I think overall it's not in large scale. I just don't think it has any use in large scale except for the vacuum. The vacuum is cool in large scale and definitely has utility to help your guild. It just doesn't have utility to help you. So if you want to enjoy the fun of what the vacuum does, you have to be someone playing next to a Nova, not be the actual Nova.
Yeah, so Awakening Nova feels bad. And that's where thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah.
I mean, what else can you say about it? It's really fun for the first like 5 hours. And then the second you really start thinking about it and you start PvPing with it, you start kind of realizing you're like this is fun to do, but as far as like usefulness goes, like kind of in both PvE and PvP, if you ask me. It's like, I don't know, it feels bad. It just kind of feels fucking bad. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's I can't identify a specific cause for it because there's so many fucking problems with the Awakening. Like you said, the disjointed pre-Awakening that feels like it has nothing to do with it. The lack of identity that the Awakening has in itself. Is it a fencing class? Is it a scythe class? Is it ranged? Like, what the fuck is going on with this class's identity? It feels fucking bad and it feels incomplete. That class only has 2 flows, both of which are basically fucking nothing. It does not feel like a complete class. It feels fucking bad. I almost would be tempted to put this in fucking C, but C+, I feel like that's just me being really disappointed by the Awakening. And if I really sit back and look at this list and think about it logically, I would say it's C+.
So here's another like example of why it feels bad, because you said I don't know exactly why, but here's why. Because all of the people that say, well, it's just not figured out yet, wait until someone figures it out. And it's like, dude, if you give me 4 Awakening skills and that's it, there's not a whole lot to figure out.
Yeah.
Like its Awakening kit feels really, really bare and very, very like just like it's still in testing phase kind of thing. It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
It's the only Awakening kit that I've ever felt like that. Even Ninja, with the way its Awakening kit was, where most of the skills were useless, still felt more complete before all the buffs than this kit does, at least to me. So I don't know. And the other thing too is like
I think I would agree with that.
Not having the I can't even think of a class, an Awakening class where it doesn't use at least 4 pre-Awakening abilities like regularly, like in a permanent rotation in PvP. And this one is like, maybe you use Shift F to try to put a slow debuff, and then maybe you try to like just sit there and block and throw the stupid pawns. I don't know, to catch a lucky CC, I guess. But outside of that, like it really just doesn't have much utility. Shift LMB is a nice little like protected float, but it's so slow. Everyone sees it coming. It's really hard to land it. So yeah, and technically the grab is pre-Awakening, but you can use it from Awakening. So it's like the grab is the only real skill that feels like it has actual utility. So yeah, Awakening is doesn't feel good, man. Doesn't feel good.
Yep.
Sucks.
Succession, on the other hand,
So you're
still doesn't feel good.
I was gonna say you sound more positive about Suck than I do.
No, so I am in general more positive about Succession than I am about Awakening, because at least it feels fucking complete and coherent. That being said, the number one issue with Succession, I feel, is that it is so goddamn unbelievably slow, and there is nothing you can do about that. When you get hit with a slow debuff, you are dead. There is no like, oh well, if you iframe, or oh you can just like make distance. No, you are dead. 100% of the time you are fucking dead. All of your skills that take like a second with no slow debuff to go off now take like 2 to 3 seconds. You're fucking dead. It is awful. It feels bad. And I think the number one problem with this class is that for a class that has a fucking tower shield, it has no frontal guard whatsoever. It is all super armor. Every single skill is a goddamn super armor, and it just feels fucking awful. Because it's not like Guardian where, yeah, I'm SA trading and I may get slowed, but I'm also slowing them at the same time as well as healing myself. It's just, I'm SA trading and now I'm slow as shit, and now I can't hit them, and now I'm dead. It feels in concept, it's a solid class, but the protections they gave to it, the skill animations, how slow it is, and also arguably most importantly, how janky it is. I do not understand why there is a shitty movement attached to your grab that is required to be pinpoint fucking accurate in order to land. It feels bad. I think it's very similar to Awakening. It's slightly better done. I think in a way it suffers from the same exact problems, but just not as bad. I also really like the idea of Axion, but it consumes so much HP, and it's such a fucking problem in both PvE and PvP if you don't have the infinite pot. One of the easiest ways to beat a fucking Suck Nova is to just keep poking at them without ever really going in hard. If they don't have a fucking infinite pot, they'll just run out of pots in like fucking like 3 minutes. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
It burns so much HP. It is fucking insanity. It's really really bad. It's a really 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 bad mechanic. They came up with some really cool concepts, like typical PA. I feel like I say this weekly at this point. This both of these kits, but especially Succession to me, they had some really cool concepts, and then when it came time to put pen to paper and actually assign like values, numbers, protections, like all of that shit, they fucked it all up and it feels bad.
So where do you rank Suck?
Fucking F. No,
Okay.
I'm kidding. I don't know. Probably C plus as well. I think it suffers from the same problems, not quite as much, but it also has some extra problems on top of that. I overall, I'd probably say it's C plus as well. In all honesty.
So for me, it's a C. And here's the thing, that even though I'm putting it at a C, I actually feel more positively about Succession's future than I do about the Awakening one, because
Yep.
because I think that its problems are relatively easily fixable, whereas Awakening is just super weird, and I'm not really sure unless they want to redesign the pre-Awakening as well. But Succession, dude, it's so funny because I mean this when I say this. The Succession sound effects and the animations and the Axion are legit my favorite in the entire game of any class right now. Like, they are like all I ever wanted in a class, visually and design wise, and the sound effects and everything. It just feels, it's way too slow does way too little damage and has way too little protection, either in the form of iframing or frontal guard or just like protected damage. So either it needs to gain a shitload more CCs, so it's like a support utility class, or it needs to gain way more damage, or it needs to gain way more movement and speed in general. Like one of those three things has to happen. Otherwise, it's just bad. Like the thing that kind of blows my mind is for how much it's so like it's similar to Guardian. Like if you compare its damage to Guardian, it is not even remotely close.
Nope.
Like
and if you compare,
at all.
If you compare its movement to Guardian, it's not even close.
It's worse.
If you compare its tankiness to Guardian, it's not even close. If you compare its utility to Guardian, there's an argument to be made with the Ice Wall, but guess what? Guardian can stack 20 times slow on you just from hitting you. So TBH, I think I'd rather just the on-hit 20 stack slow over a wall that lasts 7 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. Like, yes, that's useful, but arguably the slow is better because it's just always fucking on. Succession Nova is just shitty Awakening Guardian, and it fucking pisses me off that the class with fire applies slows to everyone on hit, and the class with ice only has one fucking ability that slows. How does this make sense, PA? Learn how to work with themes. It is so confusing.
You know, dude, your feet get stuck in magma. It slows you way
It's
down.
so bad. And like one of the things that I talked with Seption about the other day, and I think I mentioned it to Mina too. I may have said it to you as well, actually. I feel like Succession Nova's problems would almost be fixed as long as they fix all the bugs and shit too, if they had Awaken Guardians passives of like healing on every single hit and slowing on every single hit. Then you can maybe make an argument that everything wrong with it is kind of justified. Like, yeah, it's going to be a lot easier to pinpoint accurately hit this grab whenever they're slowed times a million. Yeah, you're slow as fuck, but so are they. Yeah, you have a bunch of super armors, but as long as you're healing through the damage that you're trading in those super armors, then it's fine. But they can't do that because then it just turns into fucking Guardian. So now all of a sudden you have a crisis on your hands of what to do with this class. And I'm not sure what they're gonna do. I honestly think the best thing you could do at this point is start giving some of its super armors frontal guards.
That wouldn't be bad. I actually think here are the things I would change. Not to go too much. This isn't really a Nova podcast, but if I had my way, I would have the stamina cost of the run and the dash, the little super armor 1 second dash. I would add an iframe to that super armor dash every 3 seconds, so make it kind of a two-parter. Every 3 seconds it'd be an iframe, and then every 1 second super armor. And then I would make it so shift Q, like this would just be my starting point, and then see what happens, how it feels after that. But make shift Q and shift C. So I believe that's God, what is shift Q called? That's the one where the Axion flies out and does his breath. Stamma's mate,
something like that.
And shift C is frozen earth. I would make both of those skills damage just like way, way, way better. Because right now their damage is like, I can't even believe a 13 second and an 18 second cooldown skill with 1000% times 10 and crit and accuracy modifiers does literally nothing. It's so weird. In both PvP and PvE. So I think that would be at least a decent start. But yeah. So yeah, for me, I'm putting Suck in C for sure.
The number one thing I think that could immediately help the class is separate the fucking run from the grab and make the grab not require like literal pinpoint accuracy to land. I'm not saying you need to make it AoE like lawn grab, but literally if you do not have your cursor perfectly on people from the moment you press the button to the moment it lands, because again it's a slow ass animation, you are not going to land that fucking grab. And the fact that you're punished so fucking hard for missing it is a real problem as well.
Yeah. So I say C, you say C+.
Nayashi says C+, so C+.
C+. That's a high grade for that
Let's
class,
do let's do PvE and then we'll close ranks.
All right. I think Nova Awakening is a solid B. I actually think it's pretty good at grinding, and you don't ever have to go into pre-awakening at all. I think if it gets one more skill, which I feel confident that it will, I think it'll be fairly high end. Maybe it'll inch closer to A, because right now you do have to use SLMB, SF, and SQ as filler a little bit more than I would like. But when you're grinding, you can keep On Guard up quite a bit, and with On Guard, it kills incredibly fast. So I think it's a B. And then Succession, I think, is honestly a D, maybe a C. But the thing is with Suck is it has this weird thing, I guess because of the pets, I'm not too sure. That's the theory people have. But when you are in like Tuvala gear, it actually does pretty well at a place like Starzen and Secrea. And no matter how much AP you throw at those places, your trash loop barely goes up. I was watching, Zethian is like 301 with Kudum or 297 with Kudum, and he gets 6k with Guardian. At like Starzen, like he's only able to get like 5k with Nova in the same gear. And he just has like nutty gear. And I'm pretty sure he has I think he has a Black Star. Pretty sure he has a Pen Black Star, but I'm not 100% on that. But anyway, yeah, it's just not good. And it has no pull. It has no good pulling abilities. The two pulling abilities are SLMB and forward RMB, but the forward RMB is on the second hit, so it's really slow. And then SLMB doesn't quite go far enough to make it feel like a good pulling ability. So it doesn't really have good pulling abilities at all.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with these ranks. I might argue Awaken Nova down at C, but it's fine being at B. Alright, Frosty, you ready for me to blow your mind?
Yeah, well, wait, I wanna point out something that I found funny that a lot of people said to me, because I was immediately able to pull like 5.3k at Secrea with Awakening, and I'm not very good at grinding. Like, for whatever reason, no matter how much I watch videos, my efficiency is just never what the people in the videos are. But I was like, damn, man, like 5.3, like that's pretty good, and I can probably improve this, like if I practice this and work on it. And everyone was like, of course you're getting 5.3, like you're a Kuno. And I'm like, or you're 297. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm 297 on my Kuno, and I've never gotten close to this. Like, that would also be true on these other classes if it was just AP, but like, no, it's actually like kind of nice for grinding. And it's not the pack to pack either, because Kuno is also good pack to pack, and relatively so is Tamer, but I couldn't get 5.3 on Tamer or Kuno, so yeah. All right, what are you gonna blow my mind with? Let's hear it.
All right, you ready for this?
What'd you do?
I deleted not F.
Oh,
So now B is slightly above average, C is slightly below average.
what? But those classes are not slightly below average.
Frosty, it's the same either way.
No,
It's the same either way, man.
is it? You know what it's kind of like? It's like if you're rating out of 10 and you get an 8, right? If you get an 8 out of 10, but then you delete 1 and 2, now you're 8 out of 10, but you're starting at 3. So it changes. The whole equation is different, you know?
Let me ask you this.
All right.
The average, I can't even.
I guess C
If
technically
B-
is an average on percentage-wise, right?
Yes, that's what I was about to say, is that the actual average of this graph is not C. If we added another column, it would be even more not C.
Whatever, fine. I guess the point is still there when I look at it. Do we have to do the same thing for the PvP one?
No, we don't. I just
We
wanted
could remove
to do that.
we could remove D.
We could remove D and F if we wanted to. We could remove F on this one if we wanted to. It doesn't really matter.
No, we gotta leave D and F there, because I want the implication. I want people to know that as bad as some of the classes are, none of them are really D or F.
Is there anything here that you think absolutely does not belong? Obviously, we don't have Nayashi here, so we can't. We got to be kind of conservative with our changes because he might disagree with something. But if there's something that you feel very fucking strongly about, we can talk it out.
I don't know. I feel like Succession Striker and Awaken Hash. No, I don't know. Succession Striker feels in the wrong spot to me still a little bit. But
like it needs to go up or down?
It feels a little high, but then Succession Mystic is right below it, so not really. I don't know. No, I think it's pretty all right. Like, I think I can live with this. What do you think people are going to be most upset about here?
What are people going to be most upset about?
Probably Archer, right? I think people Archers are going to be pissed about that Archer.
Because I think most Archers would probably put Archer at a B+ right now, so I don't think we're that far off.
All right, what about this? Here's something that's standing out a little bit to me. If you compare,
I think Succession Rangers are going to be upset because I think they're going to say that Succession Rangers 1v1 is absolute dog shit and that we don't know what we're talking about.
Nah. All right. Well, think about this. I think the overall population is going to look at Awaken Warrior versus Succession Sork and ask why they're the same. Which I think is a fair question. Because I think Awaken Warrior overall in PvP is better than Sork. Even though its utility in large scale is lessened. But it's like so much better in 1v1. So that one's kind of rough.
So what do you want to do about that? Do you want to move Warrior up or Sork down?
I mean, I think, does Warrior go up? I don't know if Warrior is... I
don't think Warrior goes up. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. I will not sanction Warrior going up to A+. I'm going to go ahead and let you know, dog.
Dude, it's so good, though. It's such a good class.
I know.
Even in, like, small
really
scale, I think it's really good. But in Siege, it's so borderline useless. But it can chuck its spears again. Which some people like that, dude. I asked someone, like, why do you want to chuck the spear? It does, like, no damage when it's off cooldown. Someone was like, to pull ninjas out of concealment. I was like, okay.
I almost feel like what stands out there more is Sork. I don't know if Succession Sork belongs in that group of characters.
You think Succession Sork is worse?
I don't know. I mean, the problem is I haven't fought a lot of Succession Sorks. I have fought mostly Awakened Sorks. My experience against Succession Sork is very little.
Mm-hmm.
So all I have to go off of is like videos I've seen and what other people tell me about it. But whenever I'm looking at that lineup of A,
mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the only thing that kind of stands out to me.
Yeah. I mean...
But I don't know if it belongs in B+ either, honestly. Like, I don't know.
I feel
it's kind of caught in the middle.
I feel like it kind of does. Because here's the thing. I don't care what class I'm on. The difference in my feeling towards fighting an Awakened Sork and fighting a Succession Sork is so vastly different. Like, I'm like relieved that I only have to fight a Succession Sork. I know they have to show me their unprotected back every 2 seconds with fucking Crow Flare. That's the thing. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what's making the Warrior feel so weird. And Striker. Like, Awakened Striker, I think, is better than Succession Sork. But I don't know.
So let's just move this here and take a look at it. Let's look at it in the context of the B+ row. Does this make sense? I think it makes more sense.
I think it makes more sense.
I feel like it's knocking on the fucking door of the A tier, but I think it's just not quite there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I could live with it like that. I already know people are going to be upset with Awaken Kuno where it is, because I think a lot of people get hung up on concealment and then block jump grab.
It's funny you should mention that. The only other thing I would say feels weird to me, I almost feel like Awaken Kuno belongs in C.
But the thing is like, it's not completely like C, like a suck warrior's borderline helpless, right? Like if he's out there, he's hoping when he gets to a grind spot that it's either empty or it's a shy. Like the Kuno is at least like, you know what? I can win a few matches against people, especially if they're not very good. If I were factoring in PvE as well, I definitely would agree that it belongs lower. But since this is just PvP, dude, I honestly thought I switched to DR recently, and I have so much accuracy and so much AP, and Spin Spree does no damage. It's crazy. I don't know why they did that to my beloved Spin Spree, man, but it's so bad. Like when you compare Awaken Kuno to Succession Kuno, the only thing Awaken Kuno has over it is the Spin Spree, which is super armor damage. But Wheel Wrath, which is the awakening skill on Suck, hits way harder. Shadow Stomp, suck, harder. Foxclaw, suck, harder. Fatal Blow, suck, harder. Moonlight, because of the passive, even though it's not even a different skill on Succession, hits harder. Shackles, better. Like, it's just like literally everything. Tenon Cutter, better. There's nothing about Awakening Kuno that is better. It has worse movement, worse damage, and all of the skills that it has the same of are just worse versions than Succession. It's like everything about it. It's great. Even block jump. You can cancel the start of block jump in Succession so it's faster. On Awakening, it's slower.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess we'll roll with this then. I'm sure all three of us still have our things that we're kind of about looking at it, but that's the point of it. It's it's a combined list. It's what we all think. So this is the final
I don't
PvP.
I don't love Awaken Hash and Suck Hash being the same. I really think Suck is better. There's a significantly higher amount of Succession players than Awaken for a reason. That's my only thing. But the thing is like Kyrene plays Awakening, so it's sort of like his word is gospel, you know. he's sort of elite, dude. I watched him 1v1ing a really good ninja the other day, and I was just like, dude, Kyrene is so good at everything he does. What a boss.
So take a screenshot of this. This is overall PvP class rankings. Take a screenshot of this, link it in your Discords, link it to other streamers so that they can complain about it and tell us that we're wrong and where we rank things. This is the official Value Pack podcast team PvP ranking.
Can you zoom in on it with I think, what is the key to full screen? Is it F11?
I have no idea.
Try pressing F11. Does that full screen your browser? Okay. And then zoom in with Control and then the plus key on it.
Control plus?
Yeah, Control on the bottom left and then plus next to backspace. There we go. Oh, not that much.
So this is the PvE list.
There we go.
So this is the final PvE list. So take note of this. Take a screenshot, send this to Potion Shop and get his opinion on it. And whoever else cares about PvE tier lists, I suppose. I'm sure there's a bunch of people, but nobody that I know.
Should we
F11 just get out of this?
We need a market, dude. We gotta market.
And then here is the here is the PvP tier list.
And scroll down a hair with the little bar on the right. There we go.
There you go. We want everybody to see that there's no F tier classes in this game. There's just Succession Warrior.
Yeah. And a lot of people are wondering, did you draw these portraits yourself?
Nobody is wondering that. In fact, if people browse the subreddit, the Black Desert Online subreddit, they've probably seen these pictures before because I stole these from somebody who posted them on Reddit. These are my my character portraits. Someone left a link to them, and I was like, "Ooh, that's neat!" And so I grabbed them. And so whenever I made this, I just used those and slapped A or S on them. So
hold on, let me do this real quick. I'm gonna make this super professional on my end here. Hold on.
oh boy,
Edit,
what are you
format,
doing?
font. Make this a little bit bigger. Let me shrink this box a hair. All right, so this is so professional. You're gonna love this when you finally see it, dude. This is crazy. All right.
Oh Lord. Are you done?
Yeah. So that's
Am I-
PvP.
Yes.
All right. Now swap to the PvE one.
Yay.
There we go. And that one's PvE.
I don't know what you just did. and
It's a lot of, you wouldn't understand it. It's my graphics and it's my producing
Whoa.
skills. Cool. You can press Control-0 to make them normal size again.
Oh, it's all messed up because there's so many classes now.
Yeah. Yeah, the side by side is probably not going to work. It's all good. They got the individual
bad.
ones. We know. Maybe you could put Adam as image links in the description or something. Actually, probably help.
Oh yeah, that might work.
Cool. And then we're
All right.
done.
Yeah,
right.
so this is it. Let us know your thoughts below. Most people probably just skip to the end. Fuck you guys.
let me
This-
promote us all here at the end too as a closer.
Okay.
All
go
right.
ahead.
Reslar streams very often on Wednesdays. But what other days do you stream?
Mostly Wednesdays. Probably top 3 days are Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. Although school just started, uni's just started, so that might change.
It might
but
change, right.
probably still Wednesdays and Sundays.
And that is twitch.tv/notreslar. Nayashi streams whenever the wife lets him. Generally,
the woman.
The woman. Generally, during the podcast that we record every Sunday, he streams. On the weekends, he streams pretty often. And then sometimes when he gets home from work on weeknights, he streams. That is twitch.tv/Nayashi_NA. Is that right?
That is correct, yes.
And then I stream mostly Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/SoFrosty. I start as early as I can and go as long as I can until I'm tired. And then also on Sunday mornings during the podcast. And we do a podcast every week. So if this is your first time hearing of us or seeing this channel, we do a podcast that we release every single week. Bring on guests, talk about the stuff that's going on in BDO, all the new stuff, and our opinions and thoughts on some of the changes and things that they're not doing, and balance and crying and whining and comparisons and PvP and stuff and all that good stuff. So check us out. That's youtube.com/ what is it? Just Reslar? Or how do you find
Dude,
the YouTube?
The
Is it?
URLs for YouTube channels are so fucked.
They're fucked.
You
Okay.
just search BDO Reslar and you'll find it.
Yeah, BDO Reslar or the Value Pack podcast.
Yep.
You'll find
Either
it.
will work.
It's also on iTunes, Spotify, Castbox. Still, is it still on Castbox?
Yep, Castbox. Yep.
iTunes, Spotify, Castbox, SoundCloud. Just Google FeedBurner link, all that stuff. So there you go. That's our stuff. That's the tier list. Sorry it took so long. Probably next one won't be until some major changes take place and another class is out. So I'll see you next time, I guess.